constituents cluster will be divided into 2 groups, and this will be followed with other clusters as well. Before we proceed, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Minister who's here, Honorable Van Rooyen. We are welcome. Let me explain that the time for the reply for a question is 5 minutes. The supplementary question must not be more than 2 minutes. Then the time for replying to a supplementary question is not more than 4 minutes, so that the ground rules are clear before we start our business. Honorable Chetty, I see your hand is up. You are recognized. No, wait for your mic, Honorable Chetty.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just looking for some clarity here. I'm not sure whether the ANC delegation from KZN is adequately presented yet, Chair, after today's court case, because you know what happened, and the faction.
You're out of order.
I'm only asking, Chairperson. I
No,
don't get a correct whether
you
they
are
are
out
duly
of
represented
order.
in the House.
Take your
Chair.
seat. Honorable members, I'll now call upon the Honorable Minister Van Rooyen to respond to question 139 asked by Honorable Qimbi. Before I deal with Honorable Minister Van Rooyen, let me deal with Honorable Mokwele. Honorable Mokwele.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think you need to rule on what Honorable Chetty has just said, because the court judgment alluded that anything that was taken or resolved by the leadership of ANC in the Northern Cape is null and void. So you need to check on the KZN rather. KZN, pardon me. KZN. Pardon me. KZN chairperson. So you need to rule on that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Not Northern Cape. Northern Cape is fine. KZN.
Yeah. No. I have made a ruling, Honorable Mokwele, that has got no bearing to what we're dealing with. Honorable Mutlashuping, you wanted to say something? Oh, yeah, fine. Honorable members, Honorable Kone.
Chair, I see you are smiling, and it seems like the point of orders raised here are not to be considered by your chairing, the chairperson, because we are in a kind of danger, because we don't know if Honorable Muthetwa sitting there is sitting on a proper chair, things like those. So we need your ruling with that regard.
Honorable members, oh, no, let me assist you, Honorable Nzimande, before you can raise it. No, Honorable Nzimande, don't respond. Let me make a ruling first. Honorable Kone, I don't know whether it's wrong if I'm very serious or I'm smiling as I'm presiding, but I've dealt with that point of order. That is not a point of order. But let me afford Honorable Nzimande the last opportunity.
Yeah, Chairperson, the Honorable Chetty is making a serious expression on the legitimacy of the delegation sitting here, and is supported by their alliance partners, the EFF. Chairperson, this delegation was appointed by the legislature. That is legitimate, that is constitutional in 2014. Therefore, Chair, you must rule Chetty. He is highly out of order, frivolous, and disruptive to the proceedings of the House. And therefore, Chair, we would like him to withdraw and apologize to the delegation. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, order. Can you put your hands down? Honorable members, I've dealt with the issue of people referring to the judgment of KZN. And let me remind honorable members that it has got no bearing in what we are dealing with today. So let's allow the business of the day to go on. Let us not waste much time dealing with the judgment. I'll recognize a different matter, but I'm not going to recognize any person that is going to be dealing with the judgment. I'm qualifying the recognition that on the basis that you are not going to. Honorable Julius.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Nzimande.
No, Honorable Julius, take your seat.
Because he said,
Take your seat.
can I explain to you?
No, you can't deal with Honorable Zimanda. I've made a ruling.
There's no coalitions. There's no coalition partnership. There's nothing to do with today. Can you rule on that too? Can you rule on that too, please? It's out of order.
I have dismissed a point of order. So there's no basis to entertain a point of order. You can't entertain a point of order that I've dismissed. We are out of order yourself.
Chairperson, you are becoming
We are not
too...
recognized, Connie. I'm dealing with Honorable Kaula. Yes, yes, I'm dealing with Honorable Kaula.
Ngiyathokoza sihlalo ohloniphekile. Cha bakithi yekelani indaba zaKwaZulu Natal kubantu baKwaZulu Natal. Hawu akenime nje kancane akenisiyeke. Akenibheke indaba zama province enu ukenisiyeke nje.
Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members. Connie? Yes, on condition that you are not going to take us to the judgment.
No judgment. Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable Ms. Zimanda just misled
No.
South Africa
No,
that
Honorable Connie, take your seat.
EFF is
No.
in coalition with the DA,
Honorable,
and it's a lie.
Honorable
There's a
Connie.
difference between
Connie.
voting with people
Connie.
and being in coalition with them. So if he does not know, he's more than welcome to come to us so that I can explain to him.
Connie,
Am I protected? Am I protected, Chair?
I've dismissed the point of order, so why are you entertaining it?
But Honorable Mzimande is misleading the House.
dealing with the
and
that
South
point of
Africa at
order.
large. He must withdraw. We are not in any coalition with anyone.
Take your seat.
Which
Honorable members, I can see the excitement, but let us not forget what is the business of today. Honorable Mutambi, you are also welcome. We're dealing with question 139 asked by Honorable Qimbi to the Honorable Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Honorable Van Rooyen.
Thank you very much, House Chair, but also a very good afternoon to honorable members. Chair, this question deals with 5 priorities of the 5-point plan. The first priority deals with stabilization and strengthening of leadership institutions. This priority, Chair, focuses on bringing and maintaining stability within the institution of traditional leadership and also in traditional communities. The department's strategic objective for this priority is to reduce the number of traditional leadership disputes and claims by March 2020. Traditional leadership disputes, among other things, Chair, handled by the Commission on Traditional Leadership Disputes and Claims were reduced from 1,244 to 220 in the past years. In addition, the department developed a draft framework for resolution of traditional leadership disputes and claims, which is meant to provide norms and standards for kings, kingships, queens and queenships, and traditional councils to establish system for resolution of disputes and claims. The framework, I must indicate, Chair, will be finalized in this financial year, and implementation will start in the financial year 2018-2019. Furthermore, genealogists and customary laws of succession for 8 kingships, these are kingships with no disputes or court litigations, have been finalized to assist these structures to effectively process disputes and claims within the royal houses. Priority number 2 deals with development of policies, legislation, and regulations towards transformation of the sector. The department has developed traditional and quiescent leadership bill, among others. This bill is meant to provide for legal recognition of quiescent leadership and communities and strengthen participation of traditional leadership structures in municipalities and ensures inclusion and effective participation of women, people with disabilities, and youth in traditional leadership structures. This bill, as you are all aware, is currently in Parliament. In addition, the department has tabled a traditional leadership and governance amendment bill to fast-track the legal reconstitution of queens, kings, and traditional councils. The bill provides for democratic elections and inclusion of community members, women, youth, and people with disabilities in traditional leadership structures. Therefore, once the bill becomes law, these structures will be transformed and be representative of these groups. Priority number 3, Honorable Chairperson, focuses on establishing partnership for revival and activation of economic activities and participation towards sustainable livelihoods in traditional communities, working, of course, in collaboration with other sector departments and private sector. The strategic objective of this priority is to promote transformation agenda and socio-economic development within traditional leadership structures and communities. As indicated above, Chair, the traditional and quiescent leadership bill, which was tabled in Parliament during the financial year 2015-2016, among other things, the bill aims to regulate partnerships between the institution of traditional leadership and public and private sector institutions to ensure that the partnerships benefit and uplift socio-economic status of the entire community and not individual leaders. Priority number 4, Chairperson, focuses on promotion of cultural and customary way of life, which of course is expected to conform to the Bill of Rights, constitutional as well as democratic principles. The strategy of this priority is to reduce the number of deaths and injuries resulting from cultural initiation practice to 0 by 2020. The challenges of cultural initiation practices are, among others, due to inadequate regulation of the practice. As noted, the ministry will be tabling the customary initiation bill in Parliament to address this challenge. In the interim, the ministry developed the Cultural Initiation Intervention Plan. Part of the implementation of this plan is initiation awareness campaigns and monitoring of initiation schools during winter and summer initiation seasons. Inter alia, the campaigns include empowerment of young boys before they go to initiation. Government has also established national and provincial initiation task teams constituted of COCTA, Department of Health, the South African Police Services, and National Prosecuting Authority. These task teams monitor initiation schools to ensure that those that practice criminal acts in the name of this noble practice are prosecuted. Priority number 5, Chairperson, focuses on the coordination of interfaith to promote social cohesion and nation building. The strategic objective of this priority is to enhance information management of faith structures, traditional leadership institutions, and of course, traditional communities. I must indicate the department, through its entity, the CRL Rights Commission, monitors faith structures to identify the so-called inhuman practices. This commission has done an audit of churches, and a report was finalized in this regard. Informed by this report, the department is undertaking research and benchmarking with other countries on regulation of the sector. The results of the research and the Commission recommendations will inform policy decision in this regard. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Qimbi.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Minister, about this explanation. The only thing that I would ask from you, Minister, except the initiation, is that are there any other challenges in the 4 points that you mentioned, except the initiative? Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Minister.
Honorable Minister.
Indeed, of course, as you might have realized during I will cite the 5 priority, which was in the main driven by the CRL Rights Commission. You know, there have been some robust exchange between some of the churches and the commission, but to a certain extent, there were some security problems related to the work of this commission. And this, of course, had to a certain extent, caused us to look at more allocation around security-related issues. So definitely this is one area where I think we still need to do a lot of work, because it seems as if the mandate of the commission was not properly construed by some of the churches that were subjected to the commission's work.
Thank you. Honorable Chetty.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Minister, what progress has your department made with regard to the Back to Basics program that your predecessor, Honorable Godan, had initiated? This was supported by the President, and under your watch, municipalities have regressed, fruitless and wasteful expenditures on the increase. We have witnessed an increase in interventions in councils, carried or incompetent deployment of senior managers, and service delivery strikes are the norm. As it because Honorable Gordon is no longer captured, that your department is ensuring that the Back to Basic programs fails. What measures, if any, have you put in place to turn this around, and if not, why not?
Honorable members, let me remind you, well, I'll leave it to the minister to deal with it. But let me remind all of you that when dealing with these questions, a follow-up question must be linked to the original question. Honorable Minister.
Let's try to assist Honorable Member, perhaps by linking his question to the original question. The question is about the application of Back to Basic in our scope of work. The reality of the matter is that traditional affairs are properly accommodated within the scope of the Back to Basic approach. I must indicate, as a result of this particular provision, we have seen for the first time in the history of this ministry, traditional leaderships undertaking jointly training with our newly elected councillors. But also, we have seen some improvement of relationship between traditional councils and municipal councils in various municipalities as part of the Back to Basic approach, trying to ensure that there is a harmonious relationship between traditional councils and municipalities. Indeed, our Back to Basic program accords an appropriate provision for traditional leadership sector to be recognized by local government and by municipal councils. So I think our Back to Basic program is really providing for participation of traditional leaders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Monakedi.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And thanks to the reply by the Minister to the question as posed. My question relates to the participation of the private sector, especially the mining industry, in the socio-economic transformation that has to happen in the traditional areas. Is the private sector playing part? Are they coming to the party? Are they collaborating with our traditional leaders in ensuring that indeed there is progress as far as this aspect is concerned?
Honorable Minister.
As indicated in my response, the Traditional and Quayside Leadership Bill, which was tabled in Parliament during the financial year 2015-2016. Inter alia, it aims to regulate such partnership. But now, because the bill is not yet enacted, in the interim, while we are waiting for the enactment, the department has developed a traditional affairs partnership model. And this model serves to provide guidelines, norms, and standards for the establishment of partnership by traditional leadership structures. Now, there are some few examples that we can refer to as a result of this model.
Honorable Julius, why are you standing?
I'm standing on a point of order, Chairperson.
What's your point of order?
I just want to know, how can you read a follow-up question, the answer to a follow-up question?
We are out of
So
order,
they
Julius.
gave him the question beforehand.
Honorable Julius.
The minister must know his department. That's why he's here. We must hold him
Honorable
accountable.
Julius.
But you give him the follow-up question.
Honorable
he's
Julius.
reading it. How's that?
Honorable Julius.
It's not part of our rules
Honorable
here.
Julius, you are out of order. You are out of order. Honorable Minister, can you conclude your response?
Now, this model, Honorable Chairperson, we thought it's important for us to develop this model because we have seen throughout our country how some of our traditional communities are exploited, mainly by some of these mining houses. So I can cite few examples of some of these partnership deals. We have made an agreement with Anglo-American Platinum. And I can cite various achievements that have been realized out of this arrangement. But also, there have been other initiatives that has been done in partnership with the private sector. And we hope that working together in a collaborative fashion with the Ministry of Small Business, with the Ministry of Economic Development, as well as with the Ministry of Department of Mineral Resources, we will definitely assist these communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Kaula. Sorry, Honorable Kabula. Sorry, Honorable Kaula. Sorry,
I actually
Honorable Kaula.
wanted to tell the minister that I'm not the one who asked the question. He
Honorable
must face
Mukwege.
the person
No,
who asked the
Honorable Mukwege.
question.
No.
Because-
No. No. Order members. Honorable Kaula. Honorable Kaula
Oh, thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
is the last
Honorable-
supplementary question to this question.
Yes, Honorable Minister, this is with reference to your conflict resolution issues pertaining to matters of ubukhosi, like you're talking about it. Now, I want to find out, English tradition is that the eldest sibling is the heir to the throne. African tradition has always been that the heir to the throne is the eldest gender-based, which is the son. Now, what is the position of government? I'm asking because in KwaZulu-Natal, we already have got a case similar to this one. What is the position of government in respect of who is the heir to the throne, where the siblings are a mix in gender? What is the position of government? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Our position as government has been very, very clear
Order
on
members.
handling issues of succession on chieftaincy. And as a result of this position, which is a very, very straightforward position, the royal families are at the center of determining who succeed the chief or who succeed the queen where it's necessary or the king. So usually as government, we don't interfere in that process. That's why when there are disputes, that's where we are able to refer such disputes to independently constituted commissions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable members, Honorable Mokwele, I'm sorry. The issue is that to all of you, maybe it was the first question. Now we'll be getting to question 146. In all these questions, the supplementary questions, the maximum is 4. There's nothing wrong to be less than 4. So nothing beyond 4. And you must be active and raise your hand so that I recognize all of you in time. Then now I dealt with Cimbi, Chetty, Monakedi, and Kaula was the last one. So we had 4 supplementary questions. So we moved to 146 asked by the Honorable Chetty, Honorable Minister.
Chair, I must confess that as I try to formulate a response to this question, I find it very, very challenging to respond to the question, and I will explain why. Because the question posed, none of the sections of the Constitution and the rule of the NCOP that the honorable member referred as to contain in any specific provisions dealing with the instance of amendments by the NCOP to recommendations of the Select Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs to disapprove a Section 139 intervention. This can be simply illustrated, Chair, by pointing on Section 65, which honorable member is referring to of our Constitution. This section provides an approach or a method to be used by the NCOP to reach its decisions. While Section 68 that the honorable member is referring to deals with the powers of the NCOP in the relation to the processing of legislation. In addition, Section 139 of the Constitution provides, among others, for the steps and processes to be followed when intervening in a municipality, while Rule 255, subsection 5 prescribes that the report of the Select Committee should be submitted after its investigation on the necessity of the intervention and must contain a recommendation whether or not the intervention should be approved, and that it must be placed on the order paper for consideration. However, given the fact that the Select Committee reports and submit its recommendation to the NCOP for consideration, as provided for by the rule that I've referred to, Rule 255, subsection 5, the latter is not bound to adopt that recommendation. Instead, it has a discretion to adopt, decline, or amend the recommendation, or to consider it any way it deems it fit. The NCOP exercises that discretion by taking a decision in terms of Section 65(1)(b) of the Constitution, which provides that all questions before it are agreed when at least 5 provinces vote in favor of the question. But also, Honorable Chair, if we accept the above proposition that the NCOP is not bound to adopt the Select Committee's recommendation, and also consider the fact that there are no specific provisions in the constitutions or the rules of the NCOP dealing with the instance of amendment by the NCOP to the recommendations of the Select Committee, then there appears to be no other legal requirements for such an amendment to be made with the approval of the Select Committee or the amended report being placed on the order paper of Parliament. Therefore, the amendment by the NCOP to the Select Committee recommendation to approve or disapprove a Section 139 intervention can be made without the approval of the Select Committee or the amended report being placed on the order paper of Parliament until the rules of the NCOP are altered or amended to provide otherwise. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chetty.
Thank you, Chair. Clearly, Minister, there's definitely a misunderstanding in how we interpret those rules. You see, when this report was placed before the committee, before the House, it was changed by faction within this House. So let us be very clear. The report by the Select Committee of Kokta, who went on an oversight visit to the municipality, was not only rejected, but an alternate recommendation supported.
Sorry, Honorable Chetty. Sorry, Honorable Chetty. Honorable members, if we are drowning Honorable Chetty, the Honorable Minister will miss the essence of the question. Honorable Chetty, you are protected.
Thank you, Chair. So therefore, Chair, Chair, are you going to protect me or must I go to court as well?
Honorable Dlamini. Honorable Dlamini. Honorable Chetty, you are protected.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start. Clearly, neither you nor your department is aware. Chair. Yeesh. Can I start, Chair?
Honorable Chetty.
Thank you, Chair. Clearly, neither you nor your department is aware of the recent shenanigans that the KZN COCTA MEC had pulled in this House. The very same report by the Select Committee of COCTA, who went on an oversight visit to the municipality, was not only rejected by alternate recommendations supported by a faction from within the ANC, and the said recommendation, which was not ATC'd, was approved irregularly in this House. What action, Minister, are you going to take to rectify this irregular and improper decision? For if you let it to continue, worse is going to happen. The factions are going to make sure that every other decision for intervention will be changed in this House. Are you going to instruct the KZN COCTA MEC to overturn an irregular decision? And what action are you going to take against this errant MEC? Or is she also protected because she's captured? Thank you.
Honorable Minister. Sorry, Honorable Minister. Honorable Nzimande, it's a follow-up question or it's a... No, I've noted you for a follow-up question. Let's allow the Honorable Minister to respond. Honorable Minister.
Look, Honorable House Chair, I think from where I'm seated as a Minister of COCTA, I can confirm that the dissolution or maybe the invocation of the provision of the Constitution in terms of dealing with the challenges facing municipalities in KZN, that has been forwarded to my office through or the guidance of these constitutional provisions have been compliant. And I'm not sure if there's an issue that the member might be thinking that was overlooked. But also, I think it's important for me to really remind the member that as a member of this August House, it's within his right also to make a submission if he thinks that the provisions that are there in the rules of the NCOP are not adequate to cater for some of these activities. So I will urge the member that he must at least strive to make a submission and then strive, of course, to lobby his colleagues for such an amendment to be effected. But also, lastly, I think so far the NCOP acted within its powers to effect some of this intervention as earlier cited. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mokwele. No, you're going to be the third one, Honorable Nzimande. Now it's
Thank you
Honorable
very
Mokwele.
much, Chair. It is very clear that, Honorable Minister, as select committees that are entrusted with the responsibility to make sure that services are going to the people and legislations are adhered to. According to your department and the House in general, meaning the NCOP, that is not happening. Why I'm saying that is because the matter that is on the table, Council NCOP had to amend the report that was ATC'd and that was agreed to and that was done over by the Oversight Committee and agreed to by the Select Committee to make sure that it gets its expression in the House. The NCOP had to amend the clauses within the report. It means, Honorable Minister, you don't, the NCOP and the department don't have the set mandate in terms of legislation to amend. That is what you were saying. According to you, as the department head, political head, the illegal decisions that were taken, specifically about the KZN municipality and the manner in which municipalities within KZN as a province are put under Section 139 is either B or C of the Constitution, are dealt with not as a political mandate, but in a way that those municipalities will have service deliveries delivered to the people. If they don't have the capacity to do that, let the section of the Constitution that allow those municipalities be implemented. What is your role in that, Chair? Can you advise? Are we, as the select committee, useless in terms of what happened within the House? Or do we have the mandate as the select committee, according to the legislation? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mukwele. Honorable Minister.
I don't think I comprehended the member's question appropriately. Or maybe the member misconstrued my response because I think she was indicating something that I'd never said. Maybe your preoccupation with my eyes might have overshadowed my... The reality of the matter is a very simple process. The select committee is a committee of the NCOP. So the select committee conducts its oversight, but also confirmation on some of these interventions, as provided for by the Constitution. So if they come to a different determination, they recommend to the NCOP. And the NCOP as a house constituting of 9 representatives representatives from 9 of our provinces, then they can come to a different determination.
No, Honorable Mokwele, I'm still presiding until further notice. The Honorable Minister is protected.
Thank you for the protection, Chair. So the NCOP was within its powers to effect those amendments. So if there's anything illegal, it can be illegal if there's been processes provided for by the Constitution of our country. And definitely that simply suggests you also participate in an illegal activity because here we are referring to a product of an NCOP where you are a member. Thank you.
Yeah, and also, Honorable Minister, when responding to the question, you deal it through me. You don't address an honorable member direct. Honorable Nzimande. And, Honorable Nzimande.
Thank you, Honorable
Honorable Mukwele, we are not recognized. Let's allow Honorable Nzimande.
Honorable Minister, would you agree that the matter of there is a difference between the report of the House and the legislation in that the matter that is brought and questioned here to you is an internal matter of a report of a select committee that requires the procedures and the processes of the NCOP. Indeed, you alluded to that, but and then the other supplementary questions that came before me were then asking...
Honorable Nzimande, you raise a supplementary question, not more than one. You are protected, Honorable Nzimande.
It's a report. I'm asking a supplementary question, Chair, that is talking to the separation of the report and the legislation and the procedure of that. So whether it's 2, 3, 4 questions in that, it's aspects that form one supplementary question. Therefore, Chairperson, I'm asking, because the 2 supplementary questions, I want the minister to engulf in disregarding separation of powers, in disregarding the IGR. Therefore, Chair, my question is, would the minister recognize that the report is an internal mechanism of the NCOP to ensure the enforcement of the Act?
Thank you, Honorable Nzimande. Honorable, what is the point of order?
Julius.
2?
Julius.
2? Honorable Julius, I'm asking...
Thank you. Chairperson, I'm just confirming. I wanted to ask a question whilst the member was on the floor, but you allowed him to finish, and I respect that. But I just want to confirm, your ruling was overruled just now by a member.
No way.
Made a ruling.
No way.
Made a ruling, and the ruling was overruled by a member. So that can happen with us too in this House. I just want to confirm that fact. Thank you.
Let me assist you. I raised a guidance to what he was doing. It was not a ruling. And then instead of asking a second question, let me assist you. I don't need assistance. I know what I'm doing. Honorable Nzimande was asking a supplementary question.
But were you begging the
I'm
member?
answering you, you are making noise, and you're going to miss what I'm trying to assist you with.
But it seems as you
Honorable
were begging
Nzimande
the
was
member.
asking a supplementary question. Instead of asking one, when he was asking the second one, I was guiding him. He decided to avoid the one and expand his original question. That's what he did. Honorable Minister.
He gave you a rule. He corrected you.
Honorable Minister.
Yes, Chair. I think Honourable Member is correct. It's within the powers of this House, of course, to effect some changes on some of these rules. Because up to now, I mean, I can tell that all the interventions that have been processed were processed. The House was guided by the rules of the House. So if there's a need to change those rules, feel free to effect those changes. And of course, you must agree with your colleagues here to effect those changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mohapi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Chair, I just want to check with the Minister. With regard to the stipulations of Section 139, subsection 8, which stipulates that the national legislation may regulate implementation of Section 139. I just want to check, Minister. Don't you think expediting the processes of application of Section 139, subsection 8 regulations would really assist or minimize possibilities of misunderstanding when it comes to the interpretations of the provision? Thanks.
Honorable Minister.
Look, before coming to this House, I've never picked up on any need of clarifying ambiguity on these provisions. Because these provisions, in my take, they are very straightforward. So I think if there is an area of confusion, members are free to make that specific submission on the affected area. But I am convinced that the way we have provided for in our Constitution to deal with these intervention processes, we have adequately provided for such interventions. And I think hitherto there's been adherence to these provisions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We now come to question 164 asked by Honorable Gaylor. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you also to Honorable Gaylor for the question. The department, Honorable Chairperson, has launched a Back to Basic program as an overall framework and a government-wide program to assist municipalities in executing their day-to-day activities. And the 5 pillars of the Back to Basic, which aims at improving performance of municipalities, are well known to the House. The department is working together with the Auditor General Office, National Treasury, provincial COCTA departments, and of course, provincial treasury department, which has a dedicated capacity to assist and support municipalities to develop what we term the post-audit action plans on issues reported in the AG's report on local government performance. And I must indicate, Honorable Chairperson, that the provincial treasury and COCTA monitors the implementation of these post-audit action plans on a quarterly basis in those municipalities that appears in the AG's report. But also the department is also supporting the municipalities through the revenue enhancement and records management programs, which are linked to the Back to Basic pillar of financial management. And as part of consolidating the implementation of phase 2 of Back to Basic program, the department is currently engaging with a provincial COCTA during this month of September and October to develop a joint program between national and provincial COCTA, as well as national and provincial treasury, and key sector departments on how to provide support to critical municipalities and also to develop intervention plans for each of the municipalities identified as critical, which reflects an understanding of the root causes of the challenges and proposed solution. In conclusion, Chair, I must indicate that as we implement this second phase of Back to Basic, we are also looking at the remaining 18 months of our current administration. The department has also prioritized the worst municipalities that happen to be part of what the Auditor General has raised in his report for support and constant monitoring. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Gaylor.
Siyabulela, Mhlekazi. Siyamva lo back to basic, but imali yona iyatyiwa. Ekhona lo back to basic program. Thank you, Minister. Given the upscaling of irregular expenditure as reported in the 2015-16 Auditor General's report, are you planning to recover the money spent irregularly by the municipal officials and any other individual? If so, what are the relevant details? And if not, why? And what disciplinary actions are you going to take against these officials for misusing taxpayers' monies?
Honorable Minister.
One of the biggest weaknesses of our local government system is lack of consequence management. We have seen cases being brought to the attention of the executive authority or maybe the accounting officers, and there has been a challenge around how do we manage some of these cases. But I must indicate the commitment to the resuscitation of the anti-corruption strategy, as well as the development or the resuscitation of the anti-corruption forum has definitely introduced a new approach of handling such cases. And it's just that, Honorable Chair, I don't have the statistics now, but there are cases that have been dealt with as a result of some of these unfortunate financial practices. And we think through such actions, we will root out some of these unfortunate cases. But also very important to note that most of our problem in as far as irregular expenditure is concerned, as exposed by the AG, is around our compliance to our supply chain management system provisions. And I think through our focus program of supporting municipalities on issues of financial management, working with National Treasury, we'll be able, to deal or maybe to outroot some of these misplaced practices. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Moha. No, let me find out what I'm trying to do. You know that you are not going to have another opportunity to make.
No, I don't want to know. I just need my answer.
No.
The minister hasn't answered me.
No, the minister has responded to your question.
What action is it going to take to
Honorable
recover
Gaylor,
taxpayers'
Honorable
monies?
Gaylor, Honorable Gaylor, you know the rules very well. Honorable Mohapi.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Minister, there's wrong impressions out there with regard to irregular expenditure, where from time to time people would create impression as if money is being chowed. In the media statement of Auditor General, he made it clear that irregular expenditure doesn't necessarily mean wastage or mean that fraud has been committed. This is from the media statement of the Auditor General. What's your take on that, Minister?
Honorable Minister.
I hope, Honorable Moapi, you are very considerate of your Kasi lingo. Because you said something like chow. I'm not sure chow is something that Honorable Head in there will understand. Because he seems to be startled as to what is this chow.
Order members. Continue, Honorable Minister.
Yes, indeed. There has been confusion around how do we interpret this financial categorization. There has been some confusion around how we categorize some of these financial practices. And as a result, we have agreed with the AG that we need to intensify the campaign to educate our people about how some of these concepts can be utilized or maybe can be interpreted to reflect on the financial performance of our public sector institutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I must also confess that presiding here, knowing the 11 official languages, I was perplexed about that language. But anyway, a minister understands the question. Honorable Mokwele.
Thank you very much, Chair. The can stocks, wait. Honorable Minister, what is your take in terms of municipalities, especially in the Free State province, where you find a municipality that can't even pay pensions for their own employees? That is happening in Mantsopa municipality in Fesile Dabi district. They can't even pay SARS, they are owing SARS. Yet the executive took a decision to put the municipality under section 1391B of the Constitution. Am I protected? Can you allow me to finish and then you'll take the point of order from my honorable chairperson?
No.
Because
No.
let's do like you did with others,
No,
please.
don't
I'm
guide me how to
requesting.
preside. Honorable members, let's allow the follow-up questions. Can you round up your follow-up questions?
I'm
Honorable
going there. I'm
Mokwele?
still within my 2 minutes.
Yes.
Yes. Now, in that instance, Honorable Minister, the treasurer continues to pop in money to that municipality, yet there is no result thereof. Now, I want to check with you, what is your commitment as the minister to make sure that such municipalities in the country are well governed and well sustained to avoid qualified disclaimer and corrupt activities within the municipalities? Thank you very much. Chair, you must
Honorable Minister,
relax.
Honorable Mokwele, you have asked a question and the Honorable Minister is responding to your question. Don't deal with another member direct. Honorable Minister.
Honorable Member, the issue of non-viable or municipalities that are not functional is our concern as a ministry. And I must indicate it's not only in Free State. There are municipalities that we are currently looking at because of the viability aspects. Because truth be told, some municipalities are placed in a very, very unfortunate economic situation. And as a result, personally, I don't think that some of these municipalities, without any major or radical intervention in terms of creating economic base in those municipalities, will realize any stream of revenue. So as a result, that simply suggests that we might end up sitting with municipalities that are not viable financially, municipalities that are grant dependent. So that's exactly what we are trying to turn around. But also, in the process, I think we should define as South Africa, what is it that we mean by an ideal municipality? If we are to compare South African municipalities with what is happening globally. Because I think there are so many good lessons that we can pick from the practices that are happening in other countries. So indeed, we are focusing on those municipalities. I know in Free State, Metsimaholo is one of those. And I know there are also some few others. Mafube too, yes. So we are focusing, we are working with the relevant MECs, and of course the premiers also are very, very helpful in the process of assisting us to bring life or maybe to find ways of solving problems facing those municipalities. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Julius is the last supplementary question to this question. No, we're taking 4. The last one is Honorable Julius. No, Chet, you are not the only one, including Chabango. The hand was up.
Correction that Honorable Minister, I was referring to Mafube municipality, not Mansopane. Mafube municipality.
Thank you. Honorable Julius. Honorable Julius. No, Honorable members, you must understand, sometimes we'll have more than 7 follow-up. Even Honorable Chabango's hand is up. Honorable Cheti, your hand is up. But the last person is Honorable Julius.
My 2 minutes starts now. Chair, let me also join the fray before I get to my question, just to get it into perspective. But let me also help to educate the public what irregular expenditure is. We cannot condone it. It's also expenditure that's not in accordance to any specific legislation. These tenders that you're giving out, contracts without proper tender documents or specifications, it is where you chow. It's irregular. But Minister, under your watch, irregular expenditure increased by over 50% in the last financial year. In the Eastern Cape, it increased by over 60%. This amount could be higher because municipalities did not fully disclose these amounts. Our Tambo went from 94 million rand irregular spending in 2014-15 to a whopping increase of almost 1,000% under your watch, Minister. This should have been seen by any minister serious about government, ringing alarm bells well in advance. Unfortunately, you didn't. But this happened under your watch. Now, let's be specific to the question. When you started your first question, you said, let me be specific and stick to the question, Chairperson. You didn't stick to Honorable Gayler's question at all. So I need to ask you, did you see to it that the OR Tambo District Municipality implement consequence management for officials and politicians who failed to comply with the applicable legislation, and what actions were taken? If you took actions, what were the actions?
Honorable
if
Julius,
you did not, why
Honorable
didn't
Julius,
you take any action?
Honorable Julius, you started by chowing your time by remarking. So you started by remarks. That is why your 2 minutes. You have only 2 minutes.
You ate my time. I said stop my time before the time. You ate.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chair. In our own work, we have discovered that the significant increase in irregular expenditure from the previous year can be attributed overall to a weakening in our supply chain management in OR Tambo, but also in particular areas of competitive bidding and obtaining, as you know, it's a provision, three quotations. And in addition, Chair, I must also indicate that instability or vacancies in senior management position also added to this problem. And non-compliance with our supply chain management provision resulting from the centralization or outsourcing of procurement for implementing agents. And also another area is an inappropriate discretion by management that played a major role in significant increase in irregular expenditure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We now come to question 141, asked by Honorable Mohapi. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chair, and thank also to the Honorable Member for posing this question. A joint support program is being implemented in collaboration with National Treasury and the South African Local Government Association through the Salga Center for Leadership in Governance Academy to train municipal CFOs on matters related to municipal finances. The Academy also provides training programs on councillor development, traditional leadership, management capacity building, union leadership, information and data system, and unique strategic initiatives. The department is also monitoring the establishment and functionality of the municipal public accounts committees, as well as the effectiveness of the internal audits at municipal level. I must also add here, Chair, that we are also trying to relook at the regulation of our municipal public accounts committees. And a team of municipal financial management support is currently being established within this financial year to monitor and support municipality to adequately respond to the AG's audit findings in collaboration with National Treasury. What happened here, Chair, one can refer to as an anomaly of our system, because this team was in existence in the past, and then it was collapsed with the sole intention of outsourcing this responsibility to National Treasury. So we think it's important that we bring back this team, and as a result, we are in the process of establishing this team to make sure that municipalities are properly supported to deal with financial management issues. The department promulgated competency regulations for local government in order to ensure that senior managers recruited have the requisite skills and capabilities to execute their functions. But also our back to basics teams in each province have been established to assist municipalities develop and implement their turnaround plans. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mohapi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Minister, I just want to check, given the well-thought response in terms of the question, one of the key challenges that you also emphasize centers around monitoring. How frequently do you perhaps envisage, Minister, monitoring, especially around Section 32 reports?
Honorable Minister.
These reports, as you are all aware, are entertained on monthly basis. But the reality of the matter here, and I think we need to be very, very frank, there has been ambiguity around alignment of functions between our ministry and National Treasury. And we are currently working on a collaborative mechanism that will ensure that as we support municipalities, we don't confuse them. We work as one and we intervene accordingly, but we don't come with parallel processes, you know. So that collaborative framework is intended inter alia to arrest that particular problem of working in silos as we support municipalities. And I think it's going to yield, as it's yielding already in some of our first interventions. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Chetty.
Thank you, Chair. According to the Auditor General's report, and in the question you just answered, details were furnished to you. Irregular expenditure by municipalities have increased over 50% to 16.8 billion under your watch. He further reveals that overall, local government has failed to maintain the promising 5-year momentum plan gained between 2010 and 2015. And not surprising, the province with the highest proportion of councils with clean audits is the Western Cape at 80%, whilst the next best ANC province is KZN at 18%. This is unacceptable. Surely your department
Honorable Chetty, you are protected.
Chair, with all due respect, I can't hear myself even.
Honorable members.
So I'm waiting for some respect, Chair.
Honorable members.
I'm waiting for some respect, Chair.
Honorable Chetty.
Thank you, Chair. According to the Auditor General's report, irregular expenditure by municipalities have increased by over 50% to 16.8 billion. He further reveals that overall local government has failed to maintain the promising 5-year momentum plan gained between 2010 and 2015. And that, not surprising, the province with the highest proportion of councils with clean audits is the Western Cape at 80%, whilst the next best ANC province is KZN at 18%. This is unacceptable. Surely your department must have seen this report, and what remedial action or strategy has you and your department put in place to turn this dismal picture around? Or are you waiting in anticipation for the next cabinet reshuffle?
Honorable Minister.
Yes, as earlier indicated, Honorable Chairperson, we are working with municipalities to develop what we term post-audit action plans and to assist also municipalities who are not having the required capacity to develop such. But also if we are to take a deep look or a closer look to the AG's report without being selective, you will find that there are lessons to be learned from all the provinces. There are lessons to be learned from all the municipalities. And I think our myopic approach of just approaching this report selectively might deny us an opportunity to learn from each other, might deny us an opportunity to take best practices from other municipalities to municipalities that are struggling. So I think for now we are on course to assist those municipalities who are struggling so as they can perform as expected, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Honorable Chetty, when people, Honorable Chetty, oh no, Honorable members, Honorable Chetty, when you ask a question and people were disrupting you, you complain and I intervene, and now you ask a question, the minister is responding to your question, you are making noise. Can you take your seat? You are not even recognized. Honorable Matebula, you are recognized. Honorable Matebula, you are recognized. Ashtatira ungachavi. No, shtatira. Nkombela swakustira leshiya. Can we have that thing working, please? Shatira, Swatira.
Okay, okay, some tamash. The Auditor General paints a very bleak picture of municipal governments in this country across all provinces. Of concern is that most of the findings by the AG have been made before and that municipalities have not been able to take any action to remedy their failures because of systematic corruption. As a minister responsible for municipal governance, have you engaged with your colleagues in a cabinet to ensure that there are changes to the law to ensure that the findings and recommendation of the AG are made to the binding? If not, why not? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Matebula. Honorable Minister.
I think that there might be some details that need to be followed up in that question. Thank you for the question, but I think there might be some details that need to be followed up in that question. But the result of the matter is that we have brought together all municipalities that have been, of course, be viewed by the AG as municipalities that are struggling to comply with financial management issues. And we are intending to specifically, within the remaining period of our 8 months of administration, we are intending specifically to focus on those municipalities as prioritized by the outcome of the AG's report. So we are definitely working with our other sector departments to make sure that, more especially National Treasury, to make sure that we support those municipalities. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Ngita.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, appreciating the fact that the departments, the provinces, sorry, not departments, they differ. I just want to check from the minister if the plan that he has in place to deal with the issue of the outcomes of the Auditor General, are they aligned with the plans of different provinces? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Member, for the question. I think that's why in my response I've indicated that this is a collaborative effort. We can't impose our interventions on provinces or municipalities. But besides, there's been a tendency of applying the so-called one-size-fits-all approach when we deal with municipal problems. Their problems differ from one municipality to the other. So it's important that we pay attention to that, and that's exactly how our interventions are tailor-made. We work with provinces, we work with premier's offices, we work with the affected MECs to deal with challenges facing municipality, or maybe support that is required by municipalities around financial management issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We now come to question 159, asked by Honorable Mokwele. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the member for the question. I think one must start by referring us to the relevant provision of the Constitution, which is Section 91, subsection 2. this is the only section that enjoins the president or empowers the state president to appoint ministers or deputy president. Now, I must indicate, Honorable Chair, that I was appointed as a minister by the President of the Republic of South Africa in terms of Section 91, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Republic, which states that the President appoints the deputy presidents and ministers. But also I must indicate, Chair, that this section enjoins the President also to assign certain powers and functions to those that he appoints. And of course, it also empowers the President to dismiss them. Irrespective of the time of the day, the President can dismiss everyone that he appoints. Now, the issue of the Dubai trip, I think I should reiterate that.
Honorable members,
this trip.
let's allow the minister to respond to the question. Let us be orderly.
This trip was personally planned prior to my appointment as a minister. I traveled in my private capacity, and the trip was paid for in my private capacity. I didn't use any state resources to undertake this trip. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Mokwele.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable Minister, I never said you used state resources. I specifically specified the family, Gupta family, in my question, that your trip was paid for by the Guptas. That was my question, not state resources. But anyway, Chair and Honorable Minister, I can see that you try to dodge this thing of yours of being a Minister of Finance over the weekend, and you were later labeled weekend special for that, because you know very well, Honorable Minister, that your appointment as a Minister of Finance for that particular term had its own objectives. You know very well, Minister, that your trip to Dubai, why did you undertake that trip? You know very well, and we need you, Minister, to be honorable enough and clear your name to South Africans and South Africa at large and the country at large that you had never, ever had an intention to provide tenders of multi-millions to the Gupta companies. My question to you, Honorable Minister, is that what is your interest in the Gupta family? Are you personally involved with the Gupta family? And if not, or if you are involved with the Gupta family, what is it that is so specific that you have promised them upon your appointment as both Minister of Copta and Minister of Finance? Because I'm aware that you had to do something in return. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair, I think the submission made by the member borders on tampering with the so-called state capture report. Now, I think let's exercise
members.
patience.
Honorable Kwele, we are out of order. You can't deal with. Let's allow the minister to respond to the question. Order, Honorable Minister. Honorable members.
Now, Chairperson, you know, allegations that has been leveled so far against those who are alleged to be captured are very serious allegations, and I think should be treated in that light. And let's also not be victims of expediency here. We know that our country provides for certain processes to be undertaken. And one of those processes, as part of the remedial action that has came out of the Public Protector report, is for a commission of inquiry.
Honorable Kone,
Point of order, Chair.
I've ruled when we're out that when people are responding or asking questions, it was even when Honorable Kwele was, I'm not entertaining a point of order, is responding to the question. Can you take your seat? Can you take your seat? Take your seat. I'm not recognizing any point of order. Take your seat. Let's allow the Honorable Minister to respond to the question. Honorable Minister, can you continue?
So I'll request the member to exercise patience because he seems to be having some evidence. That time will come and you'll be provided with an opportunity to obviously make a submission. So for now, let's stick to the question. Is the president that appoints ministers? Is the president who appoints deputy president? Is the president who assigns them powers, and is the president who got the authority to dismiss those ministers? So let's just respect that constitutional provision. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Kaula. Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members, let me remind all of you, refrain from anything that is compromising the decorum of the House. To all of you, I'm appealing to all of you. Honorable Kaula, we are protected. Honorable Kaula, we are on the queue, Honorable Cheti.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. No, Honorable Minister, this is a very serious matter. Recently, a member of the executive, the Deputy Minister, Honorable Cele, speaking at a public meeting in Kamalake, said some ministers have had their CVs go to the Guptas before they get appointed as ministers. Those are the words of a member of your executive. Now, Honorable Minister, was he referring maybe to you? If it's not you, who are these members of the executive who have had their CVs go to the Guptas before they are appointed by the president?
Order, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chair. A reference is made to an honorable member of Parliament, a deputy minister for that matter. And I hope the deputy minister, understanding the provision of our country, the laws of our country, will definitely wait for the right time. And I hope when that time comes, the honorable deputy minister will then make the necessary submission. Or any other member of this house will make that relevant submission. So really, if you want confirmation of who was he referring to, maybe you should ask him. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Cheti. Honorable Cheti.
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Cheti.
Yeah. Minister, it's the worst kept secret that you were deployed by the Guptas as the Minister of Finance for a weekend. Rumors circulating is that you were also accompanied by Colin Oros Main on the trip. When the then Minister of Journalists refused to take the bag of money and do the bidding of the Guptas. Minister, do you agree with the Deputy President that the leaked Gupta emails are authentic? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chair, I can see now it's like we are entertaining the state capture report here. And maybe I must remind members that this is a subject for a review. So, but I'm still encouraging them that if you have any type of evidence, please wait for the right moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mhlanga. Honorable members. Honorable members. No, take your seat, all of you. Take your seat. Take your seat. Honorable members, I'm very clear, I'm not going to be reviewing the decision. When Honorable Mokwele was rising, asking Honorable Van Rooyen, I was very clear that it was Honorable Mohapi that was to interrupt Honorable Mokwele. And I made a ruling that the point of order is depriving members. And no one will get a special treatment. When Honorable Kony wanted to raise a point of order, I made a ruling So if you've got a problem with my ruling, there's a procedure to deal with it. Let's allow Honorable Mhlanga. Honorable Mhlanga, can you ask your question? Honor- Honorable, can Honorable Mhlanga?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. My
What
question,
rule are you using to suppress a
My
point
question
of
perhaps-
order?
Sorry, Honorable Mhlanga.
Chair.
Sorry, Honorable Mhlanga. So, can you take your seat? No, can you take your seat? You are not recognized. No, Honorable Mkwele, take your seat. You are not recognized. Honorable. Yes. Yes.
Minister, to finish his response, and then I stood up on a point of order. I have a right, and with respect for that matter, and in terms of the rules, I'm not doing anyone any favor to request you to recognize me. It is within my right to do that, and I've respected your ruling, Chair. I did that. Before you can mention Honorable Musanga, I stood up and said, please, with due respect, allow me to raise a point of order. I've requested, I've never made any noise to you. I've requested with due respect, and I'm within my right as the rules of the House is allow me to do this. So can you please recognize me, because I've never interfered with any speaker on the podium.
Can you take your seat? Take your seat. Honorable Mkwele, take your seat. Can you take your seat? One, when you were speaking now, you know very well that you are not recognized. But they've decided to switch it on, and you continue speaking. And when I made a ruling, because I realized that there are frivolous point of orders that are interrupting the question session of engagement with ministers. And I'm making the ruling again, and we are going to miss it and continue to be out of order. If a person has got a problem with my ruling, we have got rules in the National Council of Provinces. If my ruling is not correct, follow the procedure and address a wrong ruling that was made by the presiding officer now. Honorable Mhlanga.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chair. I think it will be very important for us to acknowledge the response of the minister. But I'm having the following.
Honorable Mhlanga, you are protected.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, Honorable Minister, my question perhaps will be, my follow-up question, Honorable Minister, will be around the submission that you made. I just wanted to confirm, Honorable Minister, in terms of the code of intake that you sign as ministers, are you permitted to receive any funding from anyone without declaring them? No, Chair, can I be protected?
You are protected, Honorable
Thank you.
Mhlanga.
Why I'm asking this, Honorable Minister, is that precisely we know that as ministers, there is a code of intakes that you sign, and the code of intake directs you what to do and what not to do. Secondly, I just want to confirm, is it possible that the department may possibly fund any private trip of yourself, Minister, to do your own private issues, regardless the service required by our people? Is it possible that the department can do such? And the code of conduct, is it possible that within your code of conduct, you accept any bribes? Thank you.
Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister. Honorable Julius, I've made a ruling. No, we can't be disrupting questions. Honorable Minister.
This one now. He's choosing and what questions to answer.
You can't be responding on the behalf of the minister. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Of course, as a member of the Executive Authority, as you are all aware, we are guided by the Executive Code of Ethics. And among other things, that enjoins us to disclose any form of sponsorship. And we do disclosures annually, and those disclosures are not a secret. They are publicized annually. So we do that. And of course, if there's any sponsorship or if there's any financial assistance, we must disclose that as guided by the provision of our ministerial handbook, but also as guided by the provision of our Executive Code of Ethics. Thank you.
Honorable Julius, we are not going to be getting... Honorable Julius, we are not special to Honorable Mokwele, Honorable Koni, any other member. We now come to the question of Honorable Harting. We now... Honorable Mokwele.
Thank you very much, Chair, for allowing me to rise on a point of order. I'm rising on a point of order in terms of Rule 245 until 247 and its subsections that deals with questions, oral questions in the House. There's no rule that allows the chairperson to deprive any member of any right to stood on a point of order or to address the chairperson and misleading statements made by the minister, deputy ministers, or any executive that is here to be accountable to us. Now, I'm requesting, Chair, with due respect, for you to make sure that the decorum of this House is intact. Allow members, this is the only platform and this is the only opportunity that we have as members to hold executive accountable. If we stood up on a point of order, make sure that you don't generalize. Dikubo di a farologana. O ska re akaretsa mo di decisioning tso di tsayang ka gore di o feleletsa di digile seriti le serodumo sa ntlo e. I'm just appealing to you, Chair. The question that was asked by Honorable this one of the spectacles is totally out of order because it was addressing a totally different matter to the original question. You should have, within your right, tell the member that that question is irrelevant. We have never asked him to disclose his interests. We have never, and we will never do that. That is not our baby to know. Our baby is within the Gupta family that is ripping our country, that is taking our resources out of this country. Please, Chair.
Honorable members. Honorable Nzimande. Honorable members, I'm happy because you have decided even to quote a rule. And the rule is in the rule book is here. And there's nothing about what you are saying and what I'm doing. If I can even read the rules that we are doing, then the second issue, it's the issue of follow-up questions. When Honorable Gaila asked a question of OR Tambo District Municipality, you were the one of those that were making a follow-up, and you were asking about Free State. Already I have made a ruling that if you are asking a question that is not linked to the original one, you can't be debating with me when I'm making a ruling. No, you can't be doing that. Let me tell you what the rules are saying. The rules are saying if we are asking a question that is not linked to the original question, you leave it to the minister to respond or not to respond. Not for me to say you can't respond. We now come to the question 169, asked by Honorable Hatting. Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, we are dealing with the question 169 asked by Honorable Hatting.
Thank you very much once more, Chairperson. Hosi Khadi Keredite Lilian Hopani was duly recognized with effect from the 1st of May 2015. As a duly recognized Sidia traditional leader, she was entitled to a monthly salary from the date of her recognition up to an end, including the 28th of February 2017. Now, Khotse Khadi Hopani recognition by the Premier was reviewed and set aside by the court. The Honorable Acting Judge then issued an order that the issue of succession be referred to the Provincial Committee on Traditional Leadership Disputes and Claims. Now, as you are all aware, this commission ceased to exist on the 31st December 2015. However, the matter should be referred to the Commission on Traditional Leadership Disputes and Claims, as it was the one that delegated cases to the provincial committees. The Premier may, after engagement with the Commission, establish a commission of inquiry in terms of the provisions of Section 38 of the Northwest Traditional Leadership and Governance Act. This, of course, will accord an opportunity to investigate the matter as per the judgment. Question B, yes, all High Court orders are implementable unless an appeal against them is sought. The department is yet to be finished with a tax bill. Therefore, we are not in a position to disclose the figure now. I thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Hatting.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and also thank you to the Minister for the response. In coming to my question, I must say I'm really perturbed by the Minister's admission that he is still learning when he was confronted with the worst consolidated Auditor General's report on local government in this country's history. Still learning. The reality is that, okay, the Minister didn't ask for this position, and those people who were behind his appointment as the Midnight Minister, including the President, got a motion of no confidence internationally and even from the ANC nationally, so much so that the Minister had to be removed from his overnight position to where he is now. And this, I thought he would be parked there for a period, but unfortunately not. The reality is the minister admitted he's still learning. What we have here is failing and political mingling in traditional affairs, and it's been going on for years, as you've admitted. And it took 2 High Court orders to get the Premier of the Northwest Province to rescind this position. Now my question is, who is going to be, there is now a commission, and we know we get these commissions when anything thorny comes up and it continues for long. But the said person is still driving along in the pre-election. You know, traditional leaders get vehicles pre-elections. Still driving around in that vehicle. When will that be recovered? And will the money that was illegally paid, because the position was set aside, the appointment was set aside for all the period, will the money and the vehicle now be paid back and come back? And next thing, when will the legitimate chief of the Bauruzi Baja Gupani appointed? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Honorable House Chair, as I've indicated, all High Court orders are implemented unless they are challenged. So the information that the member is bringing about some of the tools of trade that the said elder or community leader is still utilizing, I think that information should be furnished accordingly so as we deal with it as expected. But then, on the issue of when is this going to be effected, we are indicating here that we will definitely engage the Premier to make sure that the Premier establish a commission of inquiry. Because remember, this is a provisional aspect that is catered for in the Province Traditional Leadership and Governance Act. So we think that advice will definitely suffice to make sure that the Premier start looking at this matter using the establishment of the commission to make an appropriate determination. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mhlashuping.
No, thanks, Honorable Chair. Honorable Minister, thanks for the comprehensive answer that you have given. That was a very good answer. In terms of act.
Order, members. No, it's protected. Honorable Hatting.
In terms of Act 108 of 1996, which is the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, and the Traditional Leadership Governance Framework Act of 41 of 2003, recognizes traditional communities and obliges the state to respect, protect, and promote the institution of traditional leadership in accordance with the dictates of democracy in South Africa. Chairperson, the then Premier of the province of Bokoni Bophirima in 2013, the Honorable Thandi Modise, having been advised by the Commission on Traditional Leadership, Dispute and Claims, made the following assertion. O itse bogosi ga bo tlhophiwe, kgosi ya tsalwa. And it means in English, what she said is that chieftainship is not determined by elections but by birth. Now, Honorable Minister, having said that, and all processes that unfolded in terms of the court action and whatever, where I grew up and I read extensively about traditional leadership.
Honorable
Are you
Mhlashuping.
convinced?
Round
Are you
up.
convinced that the processes? Now, my question, Chair, are you convinced that the processes, I know that you don't have to be happy and convinced, that the processes that were followed were correct and legal? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Indeed, the processes followed were were very, very appropriate. But I must indicate, we, as a department, we are very worried at the rate at which these claims are being litigated, but also the cost related to these litigation processes, because the money that is used for these litigations can be put to better use to develop the sector. So indeed, we will still encourage even the province to exhaust all the avenues in resolving this important matter.
Thank you. Honorable members, let me take this opportunity to thank the Minister for availing himself to deal with these questions. Thank you, Honorable Minister Van Rooyen. Thank you. We now come to question 130, asked by Honorable Monakedi to the Minister of Public Service and Administration, Honorable Minister Mtambi. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Resolution 1.
Thank you very much, honorable members, for welcoming me. And that's a warm words of welcome, but please allow the House to run smoothly. The honorable minister is now, Honorable Mukweli. Oh, okay. You're noted, but you know what? You cannot raise your hands now. You need to wait for the honorable minister to respond to the first question. Then that you can raise your hands. Continue, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, House Chairperson. In relation to the question raised by Honorable Mnakedi, Resolution 1 of 2007 and Resolution 5 of 2009 of the Public Service Coordinating Bargaining Council introduced occupation dispensation, specific dispensation, whose aim was to attract a much-needed skills in the rural areas through improved salary scales. Therefore, special non-perishable rural allowance are payable to identified occupations in the health fraternity in the public service, such as the medical doctors and professional nurses, to stimulate recruitment and retention in the identified rural areas. Furthermore, the extension of these allowances to identified occupations in the social development fraternity in the public service, such as social workers and community developers, is currently considered through the collective bargaining process. The concerns about a high vacancy rate in the public service has been raised for quite some time and for quite some number of years as part of government's plan of action. As you know, the medium-term strategic framework 2014 to 2019, departments are required to take steps to achieve and maintain a vacancy rate of not more than 10%. The Department of Public Service and Administration is currently monitoring the vacancy rate on a regular basis. The government also, through the NDP, has made infrastructure development a priority to achieve its aim. Since individual executive authorities have, amongst others, the powers and responsibilities to recruit and appoint in their departments, I have recently, during June 2017, approached all executive authorities in writing of national departments and the premiers of provincial administration that have not met the set target to take corrective steps in this regard. I want to assure you, House Chairperson and members, that we'll continue to monitor the vacancy rate in future and engage further with departments as it may be required. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The Honorable Monakedi with a follow-up question.
Thanks very much, Chairperson, and also to the Minister for the response. And before I come up with a follow-up question, may I, for the record, correct what is indicated in the order paper as my title, and say that I am not an advocate as yet. In terms of a follow-up, yeah.
Thanks for the correction. You may continue with
Yeah,
your
and
follow-up
in terms
question.
of my follow-up question, I just want to check as to whether the minister has further recourse studies in terms of dealing with situations where the executive authority, including the premiers, are failing to meet their targets in terms of this particular issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Nakedi. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Indeed, there are measures that has to be taken. We submit quarterly reports to Cabinet in terms of outcome 12. And then part of these, of departments that are not complying, we normally report to Cabinet, and that's where Cabinet takes corrective action. So on a quarterly basis, those reports are submitted to Cabinet.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The Honorable Mokwele.
Chair, I'm amazed Honorable Faith Motambi is here to account when she is unable to account
the
on
Honorable
a portfolio committee of Parliament.
Please, Honorable Mokwele.
I'm
come
within
with
my
your
2
follow-up
minutes.
question.
I'm within my 2 minutes. I'm allowed to do what I'm doing.
No, you
within
can't.
my, I know I have to.
You can't.
Why?
You have to come with a follow-up
No,
question.
no, I'm doing that.
Please come with a
Yes,
follow-up
I'm
question.
doing that. And
Not
I have
stories.
the right to do what I'm doing within my 2 minutes.
You
That
can't.
is allocated.
You don't have that right. You have to come
Which
up with a
rights do
follow-up
we
question.
have now? If we can speak.
Come with a follow-up
No, no, a follow-up question within 2 minutes. I must make a statement and a follow-up
No,
question.
you see, now you're coming with new
It
rules.
is within my
There
right
is-
to
there
do
is
that.
no way
We have
whereby
been
they
doing
allow you
that.
to come
He
with-
has been doing that. He did that. He
Honorable-
did that. And then ask a question.
That was a correction. It was not a
No,
statement.
Mariche.
You are saying you want to come up with a statement.
Chair, I'm within my 2 minutes.
Honorable member,
What
come
I'm
up
doing with
your-
my
with
2
a
minutes has got
follow-up
nothing.
question.
That is what I'm doing.
Please,
I'm
continue.
doing my follow-up question. I'm saying, honorable member here, Honorable Faith Motambi, failed to be accountable, failed to attend portfolio committee to account.
That is not a question. Come up with a follow-up question.
You know, now I don't know, guys. I don't know which treatment are we getting in this house. Mama, arabana ba di khora. Arabana ba di khora. Le bana ba di khora ba letlelwa go tsena mo ntlong. Re kopa gore re fiwe tlotlo
Mokwele, o
jaaka
filwe sebaka sa
mongwe
go
le
dira-
mongwe wa ntlo ye a fiwa tlotlo mme.
Mokwele, o
We
filwe-
I have in
Mokwele-
terms of rule 247. In terms of that rule, I have not more than 2 minutes. I have that. It is within my rules, unless these rules are applied when a chairperson wishes to do that. Please, give me a chance. You have distracted me, chairperson. I want to address the honorable minister and ask her a question. No.
Do that, ma. Come up with a follow-up question.
Please don't. Please
come up with a
with due
follow-up
respect.
question.
With due respect.
Continue, Honorable Mokwele.
I've never said anything. I was communicating. I was in dialogue with the chairperson. I was in dialogue with the chairperson.
Leave the Honorable Dlamini and come up with a follow-up question. Honorable Labskachen, Honorable Labskachen, please take your seat. I've noted you. I'll give you a chance.
Honorable Chair, through you. Honorable Minister, how do you come here and pretend as if you care for South Africans whilst you are disrespectful of this parliament, and your disrespecting is what you are doing now, laughing at members when they want to address you. That is the clear indication that you don't care. I think you know who will protect you, but time will tell. You are claiming here that you prioritize academics in terms of vacant positions. And yet you, as a minister, within 10 days of your appointment in this department, you appointed your friends and your families, and you were even unable to come up with a substantive motivation on why did you appoint those people. Now, my question to you, Honorable Mayor Faith Mutambi, ke gore ke eng so se tshepileng se eleng gore se go ira gore o nne matla mo eleng gore matla a gago a go feta tlhogo e mo eleng gore o nyatsa ntlo tse pedi tsa palamente o iketsetsa jaaka ga o rata o tla mmerekong jaaka ga o rata. Accountability is not there. How will the South Africans trust you to lead them? When are you resigning as a minister?
Honorable Mokole, thank you very much. Honorable Minister, there were so many why questions and there were new questions. She asked 3 questions. So, Honorable Mukwele, you can't do that. You can't do that. The Honorable Minister, before you respond, I've recognized the Honorable Member Lauskachen. I don't know if ever she still have to raise whatever she wanted to raise. Honorable Kony, please take your seat. Allow the Honorable Lauskachen.
Honorable Chair, at that stage I raised on the point of order, and I just wanted to point out there is a rule that makes provision that you have 2 minutes to state your follow-up question. But you have allowed at that stage, and it's been dealt with.
Thank you very much. I'm happy that you are trying to raise what I was saying. I said the Honorable Mokwele must come up with a follow-up question. And thank you for assisting us by reminding us about that rule. The Honorable Kony, it is time for the Minister to respond to the Honorable Mokwele. No, you can only stand up on a point of order. What is the point of order?
Okay. The point of order is the former chief whip of this house is gladly sleeping there. So as a member being the former chief whip of this house, you should know better. Please.
Okay,
and I know you did not recognize me that time because you wanted her to wake up first. I saw it coming.
Honorable Kony, I don't think what you are saying carries weight because I never saw the Honorable former chief whip sleeping. I did not see her sleeping, and she is wide awake. Please don't disturb the house, Honorable Kony. Honorable Minister, continue. That is not a point of order. She is totally out of order. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chairperson. I was going to deal with the relevance of the question, and it's a follow-up. But then let me attempt to deal with some of the issues.
Order, Honorable Mukwele. Honorable Mukwele. Honorable Mukwele. Honorable Kony. Honorable Mukwele, Honorable Kony. Honorable Mukwele, Honorable Kony, please, I am giving you a last warning. Please allow the Honorable Minister to respond to the question. This is a last warning. If you continue to do this, you will gladly go out of this house. Thank you. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I want to dismiss all these allegations as raised with contempt, based on the fact that I've never abrogated my responsibility of not coming to Parliament. I've been a member of Parliament myself before I became a minister, and I understand the role to account to Parliament. That's the reason why we are here, to account to Parliament. And then on the other issues that are being raised, I should think they lack substance as well, because the member has been just all over, not dealing with the substantive matters. And then I therefore reserve my right to comment on the other matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Julius. Honorable Mokwele, allow the Honorable Julius to come up with his follow-up
Thank you,
question.
ma'am. The DPSA has research on the causes of blockages in the filling of posts. I'm sure you are aware of that, Minister. And it provides for an analysis that include, but not limited to, the following. Number one, political interference impacts negatively on and contributes to delays in filling posts. This is impacting even worse on rural areas. Secondly, the high turnover rate at executive interface. Thirdly, constant chopping and changing of MECs and HODs that results in instability because of issues of trust and bringing their own people to departments. Fourthly, cabinet reshuffling that creates administrative instability. Now, Minister, you were also reshuffled recently and you created your own instability in this department and another department. Now, I'm not convinced with your response with the first question. You are also guilty of this because you sidelined your CFO in your department. You also stripped your DGs of his power because he refused to pay your imbizos that you use for electioneering or alleged to be used in your electioneering. Do you agree with the research done by your own department? If so, what did you do to address these constant changing in public sector? Do you agree with this research that these things are impacting on the filling of posts, because it's research done by your department, but you're also guilty of contravening or against this research? So do you agree or not? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Julius. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, House Chair, and thank you, Honorable Julius, for the follow-up. So I wish I could know what is the charge that I'm guilty of. But nevertheless, let me deal with this. There's no powers of the CFO that I've stripped. That's number one. I've never stripped any
Honorable
powers.
Honorable Julius, you can't do that. You cannot debate with the Honorable Minister. Please allow her to respond to your question.
I've never stripped any CFO any powers, neither have I stripped any DG any powers. Because I think I want to refer you to the provisions of the legislations, because I believe you are lawmakers and you must be able to read these legislations. And then if it's about the delegations that you are reading about in the newspapers, yes, the delegations are very clear on that one. Maybe I'll refer you to implore you to go and read Section 42 of the Public Service Act. In particular, 42A1 and 42A6 and 7. It specifies clearly what is it all about delegations. The DG, for instance, and the CFO, they have got powers in terms of the Public Finance Management Act. And there's no evidence. They can even attest to themselves that I've never taken away any function that belongs to them in terms of the law. They are still performing their responsibility in terms of the PFMA, in terms of the Public Service Act. The powers that you are referring to, that is within the law. The powers that are delegated to the minister in terms of the act. Those are the powers that I'm busy reviewing, because these are the powers that are entrusted to the minister in terms of the Public Service Act. There's no power that has been taken away from any official. The officials are still performing their function in terms of the PFMA and the Public Service Act. Same with the CFO. There's no CFO who has been stripped any powers. coming to the issue of the imbizo, as you are raising to say, I've taken the power from the officials because I'm busy politicking. There's no such. When I come into the department, that department has got a budget of over 5.3 million to do imbizos. And those imbizos are program of government. Even our predecessors have been doing imbizos. There's nothing wrong with us doing imbizos. And I want to say that neither am I responsible for the procurement of any goods. In the department, there's EXCO that is chaired by the DG. Its members, the DG that sit there. They also MENCO that is sitting there. It's all senior managers from director upwards, wherein they are all dealing with matters of finances and budget. So also there's a budget committee that is chaired by the DG monthly that meets and check how are we appropriating the money. So is this the responsibilities of all senior managers to make sure that the budget that are allocated to them is spent accordingly in terms of the PFMA. So I want to assure you that there's no power of any official that have ripped off. The officials are doing their work in terms of the law and in terms of their performance contracts.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The Honorable Member Nita.
Thanks, Chair. Let me first appreciate the response by the Minister. But what I would like to know, Honorable Minister, is there an integrated plan of government to deal with this issue of high rate of unemployment in rural areas, which is as a result of issues of infrastructure and underdevelopment? Because I am of the view that if you are to address that, it cannot be solely the responsibility of your department alone. It has to be an integrated approach. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nita. The Honorable Minister, can I request you to put the mic straight?
Okay, thank you. Yes, Honorable Member, you have raised a valuable, genuine question. And that's why we're saying it's a consolidated effort by both sector departments. It was a decision of this government to say that we need to also attend to the issue of the graduate recruitment scheme. That's the other matter that we are dealing with collaboratively together with the Department of Higher Education and Training. Like you have indicated, when it comes to issue of recruitment in terms of the Public Service Act, that is the responsibility of each individual department. Each executive authority
My
is
apology,
responsible.
Honorable Minister. There is a hand from the Honorable Dlamini. Can I request you to take your seat? Honorable Dlamini, you're raising your hand.
I'm very sorry, Honorable Minister. Honorable Chair, I just want to check if it is parliamentary to refer on the physical appearance of members. This was by the two honorable members behind me, Honorable Matebula and Honorable Koni, referring to the Minister and Honorable Klim.
Honorable Dlamini, please take your seat. Can I check with the Honorable Ngwenya if what the Honorable Dlamini is saying really hold water? Did you refer to the Honorable Minister as Honorable Kimbi?
Honorable Ngwenya. Honorable Ngwenya is there.
Matebula. The Honorable Matebula, can we check with you?
I ain't so, Chair.
Pardon?
I ain't so.
You did?
No, I ain't so.
Oh, I didn't so. Oh, okay. Honorable Dlamini, she's refusing. Can you allow us to continue the Honorable Minister? Unfortunately, Honorable Dlamini, we cannot go and refer it to anyway because it was not on record. Hansard won't have anything. If she is refusing, there's nothing we can say. She is refusing. I asked her and she is refusing. She is saying, I didn't so, which means it is not true. Take your seat, Honorable Dlamini. Thank you very much. You were out, please take your seat. You don't know what we are dealing with. Okay, the Honorable Goni, please take your seat. you were talking with the Honorable Ngwenya, and immediately the Honorable member, sorry, Honorable Matebula, my apology, Honorable Ngwenya. And immediately you see her rising up. I saw you leaving the house. So please keep quiet because you left the house. Keep quiet. Continue, Honorable Minister. But they're refusing. There's nothing I can do. Honorable Dlamini, please. Honorable Minister.
On a point of order, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Kumukwela.
I can see that the Honorable Dlamini is contesting your ruling. So I'm requesting, Chair, that you make it clear to her that you have made a ruling, and if ever she's not satisfied with your ruling, she knows what to do.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mokwele. I have made a ruling and we move on. Honorable Minister, continue with the response. Try to lift the mic. Yes, thank you.
Honorable House Chair, I shall also, because I heard what the Honorable Member said while I'm seated this side, to substantiate what Honorable Dlamini has said. I'm listening to those members, and I think it's your responsibility as Chair to also protect me.
Okay, Honorable Minister, I have ruled on the matter. Please continue with the response. Please continue with the response. I have ruled. She stood up, we asked, they refused, so there's nothing I can do because that is not on record. Please just continue with the responses. And it's unfortunate I did not hear them. Honorable Koni, please. Honorable Mukwele. Honorable Mukwele.
Point of.
What is the point of order?
I'm standing on a point of order, Chair.
Oh, what is the point of order?
You know, in this house, we are not friends.
Order, honorable members.
Or families, or doing each other's favor.
What is the point of order, Honorable Mukwele?
You know, I'm coming there, Chair. I'm addressing you, and you must allow me to address you because you have given me the right to address you. I'm addressing you on a point of order.
Please.
Honorable Minister Faith Mutambi cannot stand up and also contest your ruling. You don't have to be romantic or whatever towards her because you are from the same province.
But
you must tell her the manner in which you are talking to me.
Honorable Mukwele, you are out of order.
I am in a point of order.
I have made a ruling.
The point of order.
No, I requested the minister to continue with the response. What you are doing there, you are out of order. You are out of order, Honorable Mukwele. Honorable Minister, please continue with the response. I've made a ruling over the matter, and there's nothing I can do because what they were saying is not on record. That's how we deal with issues. Continue, don't listen to them. Continue with the response. Honorable Mukwele, please take your seat. Honorable Mukwele, take your seat. Kya ikokobetsa lena ngwaneso, dula fast. Kya ikokobetsa dula fast. Ki jwale ka wena dula fast. Honorable Mukwele, dula fast. Honorable Mukwele, dula fast. Honorable Mukwele, dula fast. Dula fast Mukwele. Ge be le gore a se ke bolelele bo minister gore tabe ba idiranga se yona be ke taba go theletša. So I've ruled on the matter. There is no need. Why? Hey, Honorable Minister, continue.
Thank you, House Chair. I was still talking about the graduate recruitment program, also the issue of internship program, that also is an expectation on the part of local government to provide one. On our part also, we've been given a responsibility to make adequate training experience for all public servants. So basically that's what we're trying to say, Uri. Then at a long-term perspective, then there should be training for all public servants, hence you find the National School of Government also in place to make sure solely to train all public servants in the public service.
Thank you very much. We continue with the question asked by the Honorable L.V. Makwebu to the Honorable Minister. Question 144. Over to you.
Thank you, House Chair. Currently, there are no Director Generals who have been on suspension for longer than 6 months. Based on the reports from both national and provincial departments, there are 108 officials that are on suspension for more than 6 months in the public service for the various acts of misconduct. Out of the 108 officials, 4 are in one national department and 104 are in provincial departments. The 4 officials on suspension at the national sphere of government are from Statistics SA, who are on suspension for the following acts of misconduct: threatening and giving an ultimatum to the Statistician General, for claiming against the department, for taking photos of minor children, and also for corruption. At the provincial sphere of government, the breakdown of the numbers and acts of misconduct per province are as follows. In Free State, you have got 37 officials. Their charges range amongst corruption and insolent behavior, failure to comply with the act, assault, theft of state property, mismanagement of funds, etc. And then when it comes to the province of Gauteng, you have got 5 officials who are on suspension for more than 6 months. Their charges, amongst other, range from gross negligence and dishonesty, fraud, dishonesty, and improper conduct. The province of KwaZulu-Natal has got 49 employees who are on suspension for more than 6 months. The charges range from fraud, corruption, sexual harassment, gross misconduct, and others. In Limpopo, there's only 1 official who's on suspension for more than 6 months who committed fraud. And then in the Northern Cape, it's 4 officials that are on suspension for more than 6 months. And then in Northwest, there are 4 officials that are on suspension for more than 6 months.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The Honorable Magwebu, do you have a follow-up question?
Yes, thank you very much, Mandbulela Slalo Begekleyo. Honorable Minister, I'm glad with your response because in terms of the Public Service Commission guidelines on management of suspension, those guidelines that were issued in 2002, amongst many of those guidelines, the following has been stated on paragraph number 3, and I hereby quote: the transfer or reassignment of duties, depending on the nature of the offense, should be given priority over suspension from duty to curb expenditure where salaries are paid to no service rendered, close quote. It is in that spirit, Minister, that the stats that you have given us, that for more than 6 months, officials are suspended and therefore they are paid sitting at home, sipping cappuccino and doing nothing. Yet in your very own guidelines issued by the Public Service Commission that reports to you, Public Service Administration Ministry, these guidelines indicate that these officials, if there are allegations against them, instead of suspending them, they must stay gainfully employed, whereby they will be reassigned new duties to curb expenditure. Now, here is my question. Even there are directors today, and I want to mention a few quickly for you, just to remind you, because you are being evasive on this. Recently, on the 12th of June, the Department of Forestry and Fisheries, Agriculture, suspended a DG. It's today, 12th of September, 90 days. This DG has not been reassigned duties, sitting at home, paid a whooping salary. Quickly again, through you, Chairperson. Department of Water and Sanitation, Gorbachev Mashitis has been suspended, barely 6 months after taking the job. Now, the list goes on and go on and go on. And these are the officials that are not being reassigned but suspended. This is the money, Minister, and I put it to you. This money could have been used to alleviate poverty and create more jobs. And you are undermining your own guidelines that were issued, and you are doing nothing about it. Typical of another ANC failure.
Oh, Honorable
What is your
Makwebu,
response to that?
your time.
What is your
Honorable
response to that,
Makwebu,
Minister?
Your time. Your time is expired. Please take your seat. No, you can't do that, Honorable Makwebo. Take your seat. Take your seat, Honorable Makwebo. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Chair, I think I need to again reiterate what the Public Service Act says here. Individual executive authorities are responsible. They've got the powers to recruit, also discipline staff. I agree with you on the issues that you are raising, but the issue is this one. That's a weakness that we've also identified.
Honorable Makwebo, Honorable Makwebo, Honorable Makwebo. Honorable Makwebo, allow the Honorable Minister to respond. Makwebo, Honorable Makwebo, please allow the Honorable Minister to respond to your question without any interference. Please. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
I want to also indicate to the Honorable Member, these are the reports that the Public Service Commission submits to Parliament. You'll remember the Public Service Commission is a Chapter 10 institution, and it's upon the incumbent, the Honorable Member, to also assist the commissions that when they make recommendations, they are assisted to get them implemented. Because where I'm seated, I don't have authority over other executive authority. That's within their purview. But what we're trying to do, because we have seen there's a challenge. If you check now the standard set out in terms of the MTSF on outcome 12, we have said instead we need to move from the 134 days in 2015 wherein we used to solve disciplinary cases to 90 days. That's the standard that we've put in terms of the MTSF. Though there is still a challenge because it's still taking departments 120 days to finalize DC matters. But definitely there are barriers that are there. Barriers like then you find that employees themselves, they tend to submit the signals to prolong the DC, or the lack of investigative and facilitation capacity in some of the departments. That delays the investigation. Also of late, then there is usage of lawyers, senior counsel, such that then you need to agree with their diaries, so that then they need to be available, they need to prolong. But I want to say this, Honorable House Chair, Honorable Member, we view misconduct in a very serious light. And then that's why we have taken a decision as DPSA to put in a pool of experts in the department that will also assist other departments that don't have the capacity. We've got a pool of experts like the chairpersons, investigators, and also employer reps to address the challenge that the Honorable Member is raising.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The Honorable Mukwele, Honorable Koni, Honorable Koni, Honorable Koni, you are allowed to heckle, but we don't want to hear what you are saying. Please. Honorable Mukwele.
Thank you very much, Chair. With due respect, Chair, I'm reserving my supplementary question to the Minister, simply because there's nothing new that we got from the previous questions that we asked the Minister with regard to the very same issue on the table. Last term, if I'm not mistaken, last year, when we engaged with the cluster of governance, this question was posed by the very same political party in terms of suspensions. We got these numbers. I know the question was about numbers, but I expected the Minister to give us a progress report on what is the department assisting those departments that have suspended their directors and senior managers, but there's nothing. So I'm reserving it because I know she won't be able to answer my question. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Member Samka, over to you. The Honorable Mukwele is suspending his question.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Honorable Minister, is there any improvement on the turnaround time on finalizing disciplinary of senior managers in the government departments? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Samka. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, House Chair. Thank you, Honorable Member. I think I must say that with yes to say there's been a lot of improvement based on the fact that if you check now currently, out of the turnover of the DGs, it's only 3 departments in which there were cases. The other one is finalized for rural development. The only 2 cases that are remaining is for agriculture and forestry, and the other one for water and forestry. So with this intervention that I've said, indicated earlier, of putting in a pool of experts, we have seen a lot of change based on the fact that also in terms of the issue of the discipline of senior managers, it's being...
Sorry, Honorable Minister, sorry, ma. Honorable members from Pumalanga, order, please. Not, okay, my apology. Honorable Isaac and Honorable Nyambi, please. You can't discuss while the Honorable Minister is on the floor. Allow her to respond to the question. Honorable Isaac, please keep quiet. Continue, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, House Chair. As I was indicating to say, I think there is a lot of improvement when it comes to that, like I've indicated. The Cabinet, in terms of the MTSF, has now put 90 days as a standard for finalizing disciplinary matters. Then there's a lot of improvement based on the fact that departments now are gearing towards improving to make sure that they meet the, instead of moving from the 134 turnaround time, now is 90 days. And departments are trying at all costs to endeavor that then they meet the 90-day deadline of making sure that DC are finalized within that particular period. And I've also indicated the intervention by DPSA of having a pool of experts. It's also assisting to make sure that it minimizes the number of disciplinary cases that remain unfinalized.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Isaac, Honorable Koni, Honorable Dlamini, Honorable Matebula, please, can I request your indulgence? Please, honorable members. The Honorable Mampuru.
No, thank you, House Chairperson. Thank you, Minister. Out of the 108 officials who are under suspensions, we hear 4 are from the Statistics South Africa. I would like to know about the remaining 104, because when we go out and do oversight, the state of education and health are under a collapse. I would like to get that information. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister, over to you.
Thank you, House Chair. Thank you, Honorable Member. Indeed, as I've indicated earlier, Free State, there are 37 officials that are on suspension for a period of more than 6 months. And then amongst them, there are officials from the Department of Education, of which some of the charges relate to misuse of government vehicles, poor performance, and examination irregularities, and unauthorized leave. And then also when you look to this figure of 49 employees in KZN that are on suspension for a period of more than 6 months also, the majorities of the cases there are for fraud and corruption from the Department of Education and Social Department. Hence, I'm saying out of these figures that are here, you can see, hence, your concerned honorable member, majority of the officials that are there, they are from the Department of Education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Minister. We are now moving to question 155. asked by the Honorable Member Manopule, and I have received a note that the Honorable Nita will then take over the question. Oh, Honorable Manopule? Honorable Manopule? Okay, okay. No, maybe she was out when I was receiving the note. Honorable Minister, thank you for that clarity.
Thank you, House Chair.
Honorable Mukwele, can I take your point of order after the response? Can I take the address after the Honorable Minister would have responded to the question? Honorable Mukwele, with due respect, please take your seat. Honorable Mukwele, take your seat. Honorable Mukwele, take your seat. Honorable Mukwele, take your seat. Honorable Minister, over to you. Honorable Mukwele, please. Honorable Mukwele. Honorable Mukwele, look. Honorable Mukwele, look behind you. Maybe that is why the arrangement. The Honorable Manopule is out. That is why the arrangement. Maybe she was going to leave the house. So that is why I am saying, please allow the Honorable Minister to continue with the question. Honorable Mukwele, take your seat. Honorable Mukwele, take your seat. Honorable Koni, Honorable Koni, we are going to continue. Honorable Nita, I've seen the hand of Manopule trying to show. Yes, she did that. She did that. You will take over the question of the Honorable Manopule. Continue, Honorable Minister. Okay, Honorable Mukwele, I recognized you and I said I'll give you a chance to speak after the Honorable Minister would have said something.
Can you just listen to me 1 minute?
I will listen to you.
No, listen to.
I will give you 2 minutes.
Listen
I will give you 2 minutes. Please take your seat. Honorable Minister, continue. Honorable Mukwele, take your seat. Honorable Mukwele, take your seat. Which is?
What you are just doing now.
What is that?
Because Honorable Manopole, when the question was raised, she was in the house because she's not ready to take the supplementary question. That is why she left the house, and there is no arrangement. There is no proper arrangement that has been done by the said member. That is why you took a decision not even noticing that monopoly is in the house.
Honorable Mukwele, take
Chair,
your seat.
don't do that.
Please
I'm
take your
cautioning you. Don't do that.
Please take your seat.
Don't do that. Don't do that, Chair. This question of monopoly must not be taken because monopoly was in the house. And you said yourself monopoly is not in the house. And we made you aware that monopoly is in the house. And you allowed the minister to answer the question. And monopoly left the house.
And I did not dispute
So
that
what are you going to do?
Because there is
She's not here.
Honorable
You
Mukwele,
said she's not
Honorable
here.
Mukwele,
While she was here.
Honorable Mukwele,
Chair,
Honorable
don't do
Mukwele,
that.
Take your seat.
What you are doing.
Honorable Mukwele, allow us to continue. Continue, Honorable Minister. Honorable Nita will take a follow-up.
Thank you, House Chair.
No. Continue,
Indeed,
Honorable Minister.
The question as raised by the Honorable Member, the Department's Annual Performance Plan 2017-2018 highlights some challenges in achieving constructive relations between departments and between the spheres of government, and reluctance to manage system on a day-to-day basis, which has created tension and instability. Indeed, honorable members, the Department of Public Service and Administration has a plan to deal with these challenges The revised Public Service Regulation 2016 identified various gaps, and we are
I
now
have clarified that,
institutionalizing.
and I'm not going to allow your Honorable Mokwele to continue like that. If you have a complaint, you know what to do. Please keep quiet. Please allow the House to take your seat, Honorable Member. Continue, Honorable Minister.
Honorable House Chair, the revised Public Service Regulation 2016 identified the various gaps, and we are now institutionalizing the strategies which the legal provision provides to work collaboratively with all line departments and provincial administrations to put in place a comprehensive organizational performance evaluation system for the public service. The Department for Public Service and Administration has drafted and is currently consulted with national and provincial departments on the draft strategic framework on public administration norms and standards. This draft framework provides commonly accepted structures, processes, and systems for the setting and prescription of minimum public administration norms and standards, which means conformity with the specific requirements for public institutions. The public administration norms, House Chair, and standards are to be applied across all spheres of government. Specifically, Section 16.2 of the Public Administrative Management Act provides for the minister to prescribe minimum norms and standards insofar as the promotion of values and principles prescribed in the founding provisions and also referred to in terms of Section 196 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. I thank you.
Do you have a follow-up question?
Thanks, Chair. Chair, let me first say, Chair, it's unfortunate that the presentation by the Minister...
Honorable Minister, please take your seat. There's a point of order. Honorable Mokwele raised a hand first, and now the Honorable Isaac will follow with the point of order.
But I was before her.
Can you take your seat so that we
That was
allow...
before the members.
Allow the... No, Honorable Isaac, please take your seat. Honorable Mokwele, over to you. Yes.
Before you.
He'll be
Okay.
next.
Thanks for recognizing me, Chair, with due respect. I'm still standing on my point, Chair, of allowing a question of Honorable Monopoly to continue in the House. May I please address you in this matter? When you started to allow the Honorable Minister to answer to the question, Honorable Monopoly was in the House. And then you said there is an arrangement made for the question to be taken by Honorable Nita. And then we made you aware, Honorable Chair, that here is Honorable Monopoly. She's in the House. There's no way that an arrangement can be made because the honorable member responsible for that question is in the House. That is why we allowed the Honorable Faith Mutambi to take that question. Now, as Honorable Faith was busy trying to answer the question, Honorable Monopoly left the House because she's not ready. And I then stood on a point of order to say, don't allow the minister to answer that question because the member responsible for that question has just left the House. And then you used the note that was given to you by someone that we don't know. So I'm appealing to you, Chair. If you allow this, I don't care and I don't mind if you allow supplementary questions. You must listen to me carefully. If you allow it, you must know that we are going to do the same. If you allow this question to go on in the House, it's not a problem. We are going to do the same, and we will want you or any other presiding officer to take the decision that you have taken. Thank you very much. That is my submission, Chair, with due respect.
Thank you, Honorable Mokwele. Honorable Isak, what is your point of order? Okay, thank you very much. Maybe on the basis that the Honorable Manopule did come back to the House and occupied a wrong seat, and I couldn't notice because I have a note, then let me take your point of order. I sustain the order, and then, Honorable Minister, I'm not going to take follow-up questions on this one. We will then continue. Thank you, Honorable Mokwele. We are now moving, so you're not going to do that because now, yes, we are ruling. Let's go on to question 163. Honorable members, can you please keep quiet? Please, Honorable Mokwele, Honorable Koni. We are now on question 163, asked by the Honorable Member Chabangu. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Sorry.
The Honorable Member.
May I address you, Chairperson?
Mpambo Sibukwana.
Yes.
Honorable Minister, let me allow the Honorable Member to say
I
whatever he
raised
wants.
my hand and you noted me on the follow-up question. I don't, when you have addressed the EFF and your ruling and all that, it mustn't affect us. Because I had a follow-up question from the beginning of please.
Honorable Mukulu, you can't do that. I'm still listening to the Honorable Member. Point of order.
And Chairperson, you did note me, you nodded your head to show that you have noted me on my follow-up question. Does this, what has happened with the EFF and all what, does it affect my follow-up question? It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair.
Please don't, Honorable Goni, don't respond to a point of order. I'm the one who is hearing here. Keep quiet, please. Honorable, are you done? Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, thank you very much. You know why I took that ruling that I took? Is because the point of order is valid. So, point closed. We continue. Honorable Minister. 163. And she was not, Honorable Mukwele.
Thank you, House Chair.
Information to our disposal. It reflects that only 3 heads of department have been investigated for disciplinary reasons.
Do you want to go out? Please, let's listen to the Honorable Minister.
And the breakdown of the 3 is as follows. The Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, the Director General has been placed on precautionary suspension while being investigated for various charges. The second one is the Department for Water and Sanitation. The Director General has been placed on various charges, on suspension on various charges. The third one is the Department for Rural Development and Land Reform. The Director General was found guilty on various charges of financial misconduct. With regard to the recommendation as the other part of the question, the Department of Agriculture and Forestry, there's no recommendation that has been made as yet since the investigation is still continuing. On the issue of the Department of Water and Sanitation, there's no recommendation that have been made as yet. The matter is still proceeding. I must report that the first hearing was held on the 8th of September, and the matter has been postponed to the 30th of October as per agreement by both parties. And then with regard to the Department for Rural Development, there was a dismissal recommended, and the matter now has been taken to the Labour Court for review.
The Honorable Chabangu, do you have a follow-up question?
Thank you very much. Let me also reiterate the fact that the minister is not forever here.
I'm happy that today.
The Honorable Chabangu, please take your seat. There is a point of order. Honorable Stock.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I just wanted to find out whether the word irritate is parliamentary. Thank you.
Maybe it was a slippery of the tongue.
Let me just
Continue.
explain.
Honorable Chabangu, I'm the one who is steering. I'm responding to the point of order raised. Now continue with your follow-up question.
Reiterate means to rubber stamp.
Honorable Chabangu, continue with your follow-up.
Thank you very much. The suspension of head of departments for corruption and other forms of misconduct is necessary and must be pursued without fear or favor. However, we also know that most of these officials are mere ground forces of corruption. They follow instructions from their political principal. The same way ESCOM and Transnet executives paid over large sums of money to the Gupta's company. And the same way Thokozani Magwaza was fired by Batabile Dlamini for refusing to do Batabile groundwork in corrupting SASSA. Claudio Mtswening was protected by you, Minister. He's in a mess today because of you. And in English, it is said that if the head is sick, then the whole body will fester with sores. What is your department take in dealing with the source of corruption in the public service, rather than just dealing with officials? Thank you.
Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Chapter 13 of the NDP deals with the issues as the Honorable Member has raised. And then there is an interministerial committee that has been established to prioritize the matter of corruption. I must also say this one, our role as a department was for us to resuscitate the National Anti-Corruption Forum that has ceased to exist since 2011. I want to report that we've since re-established
Honorable Mokwele,
Corruption Forum and is working. We are also members of the IMC on anti-corruption. So the department is hard at work, engaged on dealing with the matters. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Another follow-up is from the Honorable Member Tablanche.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Chairperson, it was very difficult to keep track with, what was said here. And so that is, I'm going to ask this follow-up question. Minister, how many of these heads of departments were formally charged for this disciplinary transgressions, and what was the outcome in each case? Thank you, Chairperson.
The Honorable Minister, when it comes to issues of numbers, if you don't have them now, you have them. Okay, over to you, ma.
As I've said, the question was about how many heads of department have been investigated for disciplinary reason. And I've reported that according to the information that was at our disposal is 3. And then I've reported that the DG for rural development and land reform was charged and dismissed. Hence the matter is now in the labor court, is setting aside the dismissal. On the other one, for the Department of Water and Sanitation, I reported that the DC process have started. They've set on the 8th of September, that's last week Friday, and they've dealt with all preliminary issues, and then the matter has been postponed for hearing as per agreement by both parties for the 30th of October. The other matter that is still pending is the matter for the DG of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. On this matter, The DG faces charges relating to misappropriation of funds and failure to comply with the Public Finance Management Act, and then also insubordination in relation to suspending other department officials, and also contravening the Marine Living Resources Act. And then the DC, as it stands, the matter has been set down for hearing, and the DC is going to proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The Honorable Member Kaula.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Chair. Honorable Minister, all the processes you have referred to are in-house measures. I would like to find out, in case of those who would have been found guilty, especially where it relates to embezzlement of funds and issues like those, is there an intention to institute criminal charges and have those funds recouped in case of those who will be found guilty? Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Kaula. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Member. When you read, I think it's section 82 or 80 of the PFMA, it gives the accounting officer the responsibility. 86, it talks about offenses and penalties that can be committed. And then that, it also empowers the accounting officer. If there is any criminal act, you don't have to wait for the outcome of a DC, because these are parallel processes that can take place on both sides. So the issue is that it's also dependent on each and every accounting officer to say whenever there are criminal elements, then the accounting officer is empowered to open a criminal charge. But nevertheless, also there are instances where in the outcome of a DC as well, the DC will recommend, in case where there was no criminal action taken about the employee, the DC will then recommend that criminal actions must be taken. Yes, it has to happen. And then I've attended another meeting of the anti-corruption task team, wherein there were reports of people who were prosecuted for committing financial misconduct in terms of the PFMA.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. That was the last follow-up question. We are now moving over to question 156, whereby I also received a note here that the Honorable Wana is off sick, and the Honorable Ngita will then be responsible for her follow-up question. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Yes, in line with the functions as provided for in section 3 of the Public Service, 3.1 of the Public Service Act as amended, regulations and determination have been made. The subordinate legal instrument and strategic framework are related to the following functional areas as also provided in section 3 of the Public Service Act. One is the functions of the public service, the organizational structure and establishment of department and other organizational and government arrangements in the public service, the condition of service and other employment practices for the employee, labor relations in the public service, and information management in the public service, electronic government, integrity, ethics, conduct, and anti-corruption in the public service, also transformation, reform, innovation, and any other matter to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the public service and its service delivery to the public. The policy framework intended to fulfill the provision of Section 197 of the Constitution, whereby within the public administration there is a public service for the Republic, which must also function and be structured in terms of national legislation and which must be loyal to execute the lawful policies of government of the day as required by Section 195 of the Constitution. Section 16.1 of the PAMA Act 2014, it mandates myself as a minister to prescribe minimum norms and standards for minimum functional areas also listed in the Act. The department has since drafted a strategic framework on public administration norms and standards and is currently consulting stakeholders on its contents, application and appropriate organizational form of the proposed Office of Standards and the compliance and also the technical assistance unit on the ethics integrity within the DPSA. The department is also currently reviewing the existing white papers on public services and aligning them with both the 1996 Constitution as well as the social vision of the National Development Plan. We are also currently giving effect to Section 195(2) of the Constitution, wherein it raised the issue of the principles to apply administration in every sphere of government. We are therefore currently addressing the national administration as the strategic center of public administration and how it should be appropriately configured to give effect to the constitutional intention. Thank you, Host Chair.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Minister. Honorable Nita, do you have a follow-up question?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, over to
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me thank the Minister for the response. What I would like to know from the Minister, what measures is the department going to introduce aimed at promoting ethical behavior among the public service to ensure that we deliver quality service to our communities? Thanks.
Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Thank you, House Chair. What we are going to do is to strengthen the implementation of the financial disclosure framework, which requires senior managers and certain finance officials to disclose their interests, while the Public Service Commission scrutinizes the declaration of financial interests of senior managers. Individual departments will be required to analyze and take into account cases where there is possible or actual conflict of interest. The Public Service Regulation have also been amended to prohibit public servants from doing business with the state. The Public Service Regulation were further strengthened to address the financial disclosure framework, the designation of ethics officers, and the management of other remunerative work by employees in the public service. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The Honorable Matebula.
Does the department have any plans to pursue the establishment of a minimum educational and qualification criteria for all employees of the department employed in technical, managerial, or director position? Thank you.
Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair and Honorable Member. Indeed, the department has got guidelines to that effect. I thank you.
The Honorable Mpambo Shibukwana.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. It's good, Minister, that I hear you promising, and in true Afrikaans words, belofte maak skuld. All these wonderful promises, yet looking at the DPSA website is very hard to ascertain what if any work is being done by your department. Honorable Minister, there are 4 programs that this department has been busy with for the past few years. 1, the African Peer Review Mechanism, which had lasted up until 2015. The Batupuli program, which had lasted up to 2015. The Public Service Research Forum, which had lasted up to January 2015, and the Community Development that lasted up to January 2015. This shows that you really run your department, which clearly the nucleus is leg structure. And without any change or improvement in our people's lives, what do you commit? I want you to make another promise. What do you commit to undertaking today to reverse this dire trend that is prevailing in your department? Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Member. You are very spot on the issues. And these are the issues that we've picked up as we joined the department. I must say up front that I've since directed the officials with regard to the community development workers to develop the program, because you are very right, that's where this project ceased to exist. We have also prioritized the filling of the critical positions on all these aspects that you have indicated. Oliver Tupili principle, that's the issue that it's an area that is also delegated to the Deputy Minister. This is what we do almost on Fridays, to say each of us, the Deputy Minister in particular, must visit. It's either an unannounced visit to service delivery centers to check whether people are adhering with the Batupili standards. Like I've indicated earlier also as well, to say now, we are busy also reviewing the paper, the white paper on service delivery on Batupili, to align it also now with the NDP vision. Because when you check on the NDP vision, it talks about public servants who are committed to serve the nation. Public servants, when they serve, they contribute to the people's taxes, and also then we want good clinics and good hospitals. We are only able to do that if then we have got public servants that are responsible to that call. So on that one, I must say, Honorable Member, there is a plan. And then as we present our annual report coming to Parliament, these are the issues that we are prepared to share with you on the progress we are making on those 4 programs. And I'm very excited that also, Honorable Member, you have picked up to say these are the critical programs that have not been implemented lately by the department. I thank you.
The Honorable Kaula will be the last one.
Thanks, Chair. I also would like to commit the Minister to another promise, another area which is a challenge, which the Select Committee here, Chairperson of Education here knows, is in respect of the lecturers in Tibet colleges, where another streamlining has not successfully taken place. This has been going now for more than 5 years. Some of the protests we have and some of the instabilities we have in the Tibet colleges is due to this issue of the conditions of service, which have not yet been streamlined in the Tibet colleges. Can the Minister also commit to that one? Because it's really very unfair that they do the same work, but the pay packages are not the same, the conditions of service are not the same, they have not been achieved up to this day. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kaula. The Honorable Minister.
Honorable Member, you are very right. That's the matter that we are engaging with the Minister of Higher Education and Training. The other issue of late recently that I'll share with Honorable Member was also the issue to say which trade union organized them, whether it's the teachers' organization or the other workers' organization. To that effect, now there is a court judgment when it comes to their organization that is going to be implemented, and it also provides clarity. I must say, Honorable Member, in terms of the progress report, this is the matter that I'll be able to report when we come to report in the annual report. But I must tell you, that's the other matter, that's a priority. We are engaging with the Minister of Higher Education and Training on that matter so that we close this matter.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We are now moving on question 170 asked by the Honorable Engelbrecht, who is not in the House, and I have received a note that the Honorable Julius will take a responsibility on behalf of the Honorable Engelbrecht. Over to you. Julius is right behind you. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Thank you, Honorable Member. Firstly, Honorable Member, it should be noted that the Code of Conduct for Public Servants, as per the Public Service Regulation in Chapter 2, it deals with all these matters as raised. It requires of public service employee to only act on lawful instructions. In particular, Regulation 11A, it calls for public service employees to be faithful to the Republic and honor and abide by the Constitution and all other laws in the execution of their official duties. Regulation 11C also requires public servants to loyally execute the lawful policies of the government of the day in the performance of their official duty. In particular, Regulation 11D, it requires the public servants to abide by and strive to be familiar with all legislation and other lawful instructions applicable to their conduct in their official duty. Therefore, in the event of a public service employee who's tasked by any person, it can be include the minister to perform any illegal duty. That employee has got the right to inform the requesting party that the activity is illegal. You can't take an unlawful instruction. The employee should also do so in writing, and in case where it deals with financial implication, there is Section 64 of the Public Finance Management Act that applies. This Section 64 of the Public Finance Management Act, it requires that the accounting officer must promptly file a copy of the document of that unlawful instruction to National Treasury and the Auditor General. And in case of a provincial department, that should be lodged with the provincial treasury. So, in essence, what we are saying, there is no minister who is entitled to give an official and unlawful instruction, because public servants are expected to do things that are lawful in terms of the law. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Julius, do you have a follow-up question?
Yes, thank
Over
you,
to you.
Deputy House Chair. I think I agree with the minister. No minister will be entitled to that, but it happens. It happens. It doesn't mean that the law says it cannot happen. It does not happen. It happens. Most, if not all, the reported irregularities in this department obviously came from officials from the inside. And these include the family members that traveled to Cape Town were spending almost $500,000, the 27 support staff that was hired, the minister's uncles, cousins, and even the daughter of Claudie Motsoneng as an administration assistant. The stripping of powers of the DG, that is what they say. Now, these officials are safeguarding our tax money. They are faithful, law-abiding citizens. They want this department to work. And I want to know from the minister now, will the minister commit not to purge these faithful public servants and also investigate these allegations? Thank you, Chair.
Over to you.
Thank
Honorable
you.
Faber.
Thank you, House Chair. Thank you, honorable members. It's very true what the member is saying. Nobody is going to be patched, but I think I need to set the record straight here, given the opportunity. Number one, the issue of the structure. There is an approved structure in the department that has got the approved structure, which also the predecessor have utilized before I joined the department. And then also the issue is that I didn't go beyond the structure. Also, if you read the Public Service Regulation, Section 65, they are very clear. I believe all colleagues will agree. You've never seen a position advertised for the ministerial support staff. That is done in terms of Section 65 of the Public Service Regulation. That is there, that's gazetted. And what is very interesting on the same matter, that matter is processed through administration. I'm at the receiving end at the end. coming to the issue of the family members, whoever I transported, I have got no doubt here, all of you also here, you are members of parliament. And then you are also catered, you have got the so-called parliamentary related travel expenses. I've been a member of parliament, I've never abused that. But I think I will implore you to also go and read chapter 3 of this ministerial handbook, 9.91. It's very clear on this benefit because the tickets that I use...
No, Honorable Mukwele.
Because the tickets
Honorable
that I
Mukwele.
use are called
the minister to
privileged
respond.
tickets. In particular, when you read chapter 3, 9.12 in the ministerial handbook, it's very clear that tickets, I've got 30 tickets that I can utilize. These are the tickets that each and every minister utilizes to bring guests to parliament. And so I didn't go beyond that. Apart from that, as we have indicated, Section 38(2) of the Public Finance Management Act, it gives the accounting officer not to commit a department to any liability for which money has not been appropriated. And then earlier we've dealt with the issue of Section 64 on the duty to report. So there's a report that the Director General has issued when we saw those media reports to say, was there any wrongdoing? I've got the report in hand. I never see it and approve any budgetary allocation. It's not within my purview. And then if there was any wrongdoing, by now that matter will have been reported to the relevant authority. So it's good. I don't know what was the intention of the whistleblower on that matter, but I think it's very worrisome because the
Honorable
department
Faber,
is
even
the
if the truth
custodian.
hurts, please listen.
The department
Listen
is
to the
the
Honorable
custodian
Minister.
of this ministerial handbook, and I will implore honorable members of parliament to go and read that. Thank you.
Thank
so
you,
much.
thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for clearing that. Another Honorable Faber. Unfortunately, I don't have a space for you to come up with a follow-up question. So I'm not going to allow you to raise the question while you are seated there, and I'm not going to give you a chance to speak because this is the time for, Honorable Faber, this is the time for Honorable Mukwele. Please.
Thank you very much, Chair. You know, sometimes when you sit here and listen to responses from ministers, especially ministers like Honorable Faith Mutambi, you ask yourself a question, because we know very well that officials are oppressed by political leaders. They give officials illegal instructions to implement. We are aware, some of us were officials before we come to parliament. We know how you operate. You know why the fire pool was called, the swimming pool was called fire pool by the minister. We know why SABC is where it is today. We know why the Gupta jet was landed in Waterkloof. We know why those traffics were the Gupta spill. We know the instructions that were there. We know it. And you come here as a minister and tell us about the legislation that you know you don't respect. There is legislation, we acknowledge the legislation that is there. But you know very well, Minister, that you don't respect.
But Honorable Mukwele, my apology. Honorable Mukwele.
What is the commitment that you do as a minister that will make sure that you advise your colleagues that they don't give officials illegal instructions? Thank you.
Honorable Minister, most of the comments were an attack to you, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond to what she said and the question. That was an attack.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. The truth be told, you might know that but the reality is that there was a question that I've answered, I believe I've answered it fluently. It's in terms of the law. Like I indicated, is there any official that gets a situation like you have experienced, Honorable Member, where you were an official at that particular time? You could have then reported it because you are covered by the Public Finance Management Act to report whoever is giving you that. That's the issue. So
Honorable members, Honorable Koni, Honorable Mukwele, Honorable Koni, my apology, Honorable Minister. Honorable Koni, Honorable Mukwele, why are you attacking the minister? You were supposed to allow her to respond, but you're not giving her that chance. Honorable Mukwele, Honorable Mukwele, Honorable Mukwele, Honorable Mukwele, please, Honorable Mukwele. Honorable Mukwele, if you want to leave the house with peace. I see she's packing and she's disturbing the house. I did not allow you to speak, Honorable Mukwele. I did not give you a chance to speak, Honorable Mukwele. Thank you very much. Honorable Koni, Honorable Faber, Honorable Faber, Honorable Faber. Yes, I've recognized
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Koni.
Chairperson, Honorable Minister, through you, Chairperson, I'm going to ask you a very short question, and it's very faithful, so I would expect you to answer faithfully so. Did you, as the Minister of Communications, show or inform anyone of discussions and decisions occurring in the government cabinet, Dantlar? Faithfully so.
It looks like it's a new question. Okay, before you come in, Honorable Member, Honorable Minister, let me recognize the Honorable Member Motara. Honorable Motara. Is a point of order,
Thank you,
yes?
Chair.
She said point of order. Yes, you are not seeing the lips. I'm reading her lips here. Honorable members, I am reading your lips when you speak. Honorable Mutara, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the questions that we are dealing with today are to the Minister of Public Service and Administration, and I don't think the rules allow for questions to be asked retrospectively when a minister was in another department or responsible for another department. So questions must only be asked to the Minister of Public Service and Administration. Thank you.
The honorable members, order, honorable members, honorable members, Honorable Koni, Honorable Koni, take your seat. I'm addressing you. No, I'm addressing you. On the follow-up question that you just raised to the Honorable Minister, take your seat. Take your seat, Honorable Koni. Honorable Koni, take your seat. Honorable Koni, take your seat. Well, I was going to say the Honorable Koni knows very well that that is a new question, but it is over the Minister, it is to the Minister, if ever the Honorable Minister will be able to respond to the question. But truly speaking, that was a new question. Honorable Minister, over to you. You accept my ruling, then take your seat. Then take your seat, ma. I said Honorable Koni because I wanted to address you.
But I don't agree with that.
It is a new question.
It's not, Chairperson.
You know very well.
But I know.
Okay, it's over.
I know which call you are in. That's why you are protecting
you see now, you are becoming out of order, totally out of order. It is. Let's check with the Minister if ever she is ready to respond to that question. Take your. You see now, both of you are standing and the rules are not allowing you. Thank you very much. Honorable Mukwele, what is the point of order?
The point of order that I'm standing on, Chair, is with respect to what Honorable Mutara has just said.
Now you're out of order.
I'm requesting you to rule on the matter because the rule that she and other members of the ANC mentioned that it deals with the formatting of question. You mentioned Rule 91. It's not the proper rule that they had to.
She is protected, honorable members. Allow
They are
her
not.
to
They are not. I'm not
say
scared.
whatever she wants to say.
I'm not scared. I'm not
Koni,
scared of you.
allow the honorable member to finish what she's saying. Honorable Koni, you're disturbing us. Continue, Honorable Mukwele. Honorable Koni, allow the honorable member from the EFF, Mukwele, to finish what she's saying. Honorable Mukwele, please finish.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Chair. I'm requesting, Chair, that you rule on the matter that was raised by Honorable Mutara. It is within your right as a chairperson to allow the executive, I don't know what you are saying there with your table, but whatever that you are saying, I think it doesn't concern what
Honorable Mukwele, I have ruled on the matter. Honorable Mukwele, I have ruled on the matter. Honorable Mukwele, you heard me when I was ruling on the matter. I even asked the Honorable Minister, listen, Honorable Mukwele. Honorable Mukwele, Honorable Mukwele, if you are quoting the rules, Honorable Mukwele, you are irrelevant.
Questions and answers.
I'm not going to allow you to do that. I am not going to allow you to do that, honorable members. I see members are standing on their feet, and it is time for the honorable minister to give a response on the new question that was raised by the Honorable Koni. It's a new question, but it's over to her. Please take your seat. Take your seat. Take your seat. Please go out. Honorable Mukwele, go out of the house. You're not ready to... Honorable Mukwele. Honorable Koni, please take your seat. Please take your seat. Nobody asked you to speak. I have noticed you, honorable member. Please take a seat. Let me deal with the honorable Mukwele first. Let me talk to her first. Honorable Mukwele, the honorable member Mutara rise on a point of order, and I ruled over that. I said it is over. It is up to the honorable minister to see to it that. Can you take your seat? I'm addressing you. I'm not offramping. Now it's a debate now. You are now debating, Honorable Koni. You are now debating, Honorable Koni. Honorable Koni, please go out. Honorable Koni, firstly, I did not allow you to speak. You are interrupting. Please, Honorable Koni, go out. Go out, Honorable Koni. We want to conclude this. No, nobody allowed you to speak. No one allowed you to speak, Honorable Koni. You apologize and you keep on speaking. I'm down and out.
Yes, we are, all of us.
Okay. Honorable Mukwele.
Come here.
Honorable Koni, you apologize and you continue. Honorable Koni.
He must come now.
Honorable Koni.
Not let him come.
Honorable Koni. Honorable Koni. Honorable Koni. what you are doing is totally out of order. Totally out of order. Yes, there's no child in this. You are supposed to rise on a point of order. Honorable Mukwele, can I allow the Honorable Minister to
With due
to
respect,
respond?
Chair, I've been respecting you from the beginning.
I also respected you.
And what I'm doing, I have never ever disrespected. You see now? You see?
What is the problem?
You see? It's fine. I have never disrespected your ruling. And I'm requesting, Chair, with the right and the powers that you are having, as a chairperson sitting on that chair, to make sure that you take proper decisions.
Can you also,
I'm still,
Honorable
can
Mukwele.
I, with due respect, Chair, I've been respecting, I also asking you with due respect
heard you, Honorable
to
Mukwele.
allow
Can you
me
take
to
your seat?
speak, and then after speaking, I'm requesting.
Honorable Mukwele.
But I'm not done with my submission,
You're
Chair.
repeating, Honorable Mukwele.
Please, can you allow me to finish the last sentence that I want to
One
say
second.
to you?
One
Thank you
second.
very much. I'm saying to you, Chair, with due respect, that as EFF members in this house, am I protected?
You are protected. I'm listening
But
to
you must tell them to keep quiet.
Continue, Honorable Mukwele.
But I can't hear myself.
I hear you. You are on the
Can you allow ANC members to keep quiet?
Hi, Honorable Mukwele, please go out.
For what?
You are tired. You are tired, Honorable Mukwele.
Chairperson,
Honorable Mukwele,
with
please
due
go out.
respect, can you allow ANC members to be quiet? Chairperson, can you allow ANC members to be quiet? Because you have given me the right. Honorable Louis, Louis doesn't have the right to speak.
Can I be assisted?
Louis doesn't have the right to speak.
Because
Louis
Honorable
cannot
Honorable
address
Louis,
you.
please
Have
take your seat.
pointed me,
Honorable
Chair.
Louis, please take your seat.
Who recognizes demand?
Take your seat.
Who recognized this illegal member? Who
Honorable Louis.
recognized this illegal member to speak? Who allowed her?
Honorable
You
Mukwele,
gave me the
please,
chance.
I did not allow
You
anybody.
gave me the chance, and you never
you
given me
are
chance
abusing
to
the
talk.
chance given.
It's fine,
Please-
Chair.
please go
That
out,
is
Honorable
why.
Mukwele.
That is what you are good at.
Honorable
That
Mukwele,
is what you are good at.
And you are also good at disrupting the house. We are not going to allow you. We are not going to allow
Address you, and you have.
Okay, the Honorable Mukwele is refusing to go out. Can I? Okay, thank you very much for going out. I am not going to allow anybody. Honorable Mukwele, then leave the house with peace. Can I allow the Honorable Minister to respond to the question?
They will never touch my blood. Never, ever.
Honorable Mukwele, you are out. You are no more in the house. You are out, Honorable Mukwele. Please go out, Honorable Mukwele. Honorable Minister, say whatever you want to say in the mic, please. Did you respond to that question? Okay, the last person to rise on a point of order, it was the Honorable Member Magwebu, and he is now out of the house. And I did not receive an indication. Okay, the Honorable, you want to raise?
Thank you, Chairperson.
Do you have a response, ma?
No, I don't have a response. I'm rising on a point of privilege.
Point of privilege?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, the House has actually degenerated into chaos. And all of us here are public representatives. And the public is looking at what is happening in Parliament. And we cannot allow a situation where everybody is speaking at the same time, shouting. We can hardly hear the responses. We can't hardly hear the points of order because everybody is raising a point of order all at the same time. This kind of chaos is going to cost us a lot to the viewers. And we really implore honorable members to behave themselves in a manner that is becoming of honorable members.
Thank you very much, Honorable. No, you can't do that, Honorable Koni. That, I cannot allow that debate. Please take your seat. Take your seat, Honorable Koni. Nobody, I did not allow you to speak. Yeah. Honorable Koni. Honorable Koni, we are not going to allow that. We are not, okay. We are done. Actually, we are done with the responses, and I really want to take this opportunity. I'm not going to allow anybody to speak now. I'm not going to allow anybody to speak, Honorable Chabangu. What the Honorable Zwane was saying really carries weight, and we need to respect what she was saying. Honorable member from Limpopo, please take your seat. Take your seat. Honorable members, I really want to take this opportunity and thank those who wanted to disrupt the House, because the intention was really to disrupt this House, and I want to thank them and also to request them that please next time make sure that we keep the decorum of the House. This is not correct. And I want to thank you, Honorable Minister, for responding very correctly to all the questions raised, and you even go to an extent of responding to new questions. Thank you very much for that. There was a serious attack, but you were so cool in responding to everybody who was raising that. So thank you very much, Mama. Even next time when you are requested to come and respond to the questions, continue to do that. On a lighter note, I know you read your books. You are even a lawyer, so there's nothing difficult to you. Yes, this House is urgent. He's a lawyer by profession.